Hello, everybody. Body. Oh, that's not an echo. It's me. What are you doing?
Distracting you.
As always. Hey, it's the Off the Rails podcast. Welcome back. I be Travis.
And I'm Mitch.
We appreciate you guys tuning in. I have no idea what we're possibly going to talk about this week because I've had a very, very weird week. And I feel really unprepared for this episode. For some reason. I don't know why. Not for any particular reason I can point my finger on. But I kind of feel like I ran a marathon and try to get in this room on time, and I didn't. That's the bad thing. I sat down.
You didn't.
I went to dinner, and then I had an hour in between of getting back from dinner till it was time to record. Just sat there I've been in no hurry at all, but I feel like I've been extremely rushed. I don't know.
I've been here since about 5:45, and I've been watching. I've been watching little YouTube and a little this and a little that.
You've been on the tubers, huh?
You know how I do, man.
Yeah.
I'm a YouTube fanatic.
Oh
dude.
yeah, I can. The kids, it drives them nuts. What do you like to watch on YouTube? Do you watch woodworking stuff?
Nope.
No.
Mm-mm.
You watch
No.
goat stuff?
Nope.
Okay.
I watch Post 10, which he is a gentleman up in Maine, Massachusetts that unclogs culverts.
Thought you were going to go toilets. Okay.
He unclogs culverts.
Is this like the guy that pulls a tire through the culverts to see what?
No. He is like, I don't know. I don't want to say there's something wrong. He's eccentric.
Okay.
He's a little eccentric. And anyway, he just goes all over the place. He started out with the street draining videos, where he'd go out and brush over the grate and the whole street would drain.
Yeah.
And then he's got millions of subscribers.
Huh.
And so now he rides up and down the back roads and he unclogs all these culverts. It's a whole, listen, it's like a cult, this dude.
Is this a spin-off of the Swamp People?
No, it's just one dude.
No, I mean, do you think it's the same group of people that were Swamp People followers? Or,
Oh yeah, yeah. You're either in Post 10, and if you're in, it's kind of like The Office, right?
Okay.
If you're in, man. But if you're out, you have no idea what's going on, and nobody knows really why they watch it.
Yeah.
And then I watch South Main Auto a lot. He's just he's up in Aorka or something, New York, and he fixes cars.
Classics.
Nope.
New cars.
New junk.
Oh, really?
Interesting. After about 5 years.
So he's an IT technician.
Yeah. After about 5 years, they pretty much junk a car up there if you drive it all year long.
Really?
It's completely rotted on the bottom.
Just
it's
all
crazy
the salt
because
and everything.
Yeah, he'll have a 2017 Chevrolet Silverado frames rotten in half. Yeah, it's crazy.
That is weird.
I watch stuff like that, and I watch Perkins Brothers Builder.
Oh.
Perkins Brothers Builders.
What do they build?
They just build homes.
Oh, okay.
A lot of they're up in South Carolina, up in the mountains, or North Carolina, South Carolina. Anyway, they're up there in the mountains, and they do really good work. But they they really break down the whole home building, kind of process and why they do what they do and this and that. And
are they
those are
framers?
probably my top three.
Are they
They do a little everything.
Little A to B?
Yeah. Yep.
A to Z?
They do the foundations, they do the framing, they do the roofing. I don't think they do the sheetrock work, and then they do all the finished trim.
Gotcha.
They don't do cabinets, they don't do electric, but they do a lot of everything else.
Gotcha.
Well, what do you watch?
I watch a lot of woodworking stuff, to be honest with you. I like, but I like furniture. I don't really like watching guys make cabinets. You could imagine what that's like, but
That's kind of like listening to people talk about building cabinets. I mean, who?
I don't know why somebody would listen to
do
that podcast, but I really like Bourbon Moth is probably one of my favorite guys to watch. He's just, he's just kind of eccentric, and I think he's funny. He's stupid, but I think he's funny. He's doing a Airstream right now, building out his own Airstream. And I like another guy called Keith Johnson. He's my cousin. does fine woodwork. No, we're not, but
Yeah.
you
I
know,
wasn't gonna say nothing.
just sharing names. But he does good. He does a lot. I like him a lot because he does furniture in a garage, and some of the pieces he builds, I'm like, how did you ever fit that in your garage? He is in tight quarters.
Yeah.
I mean, he is.
It's amazing. Those guys amaze me,
Yeah.
man. How they can do it.
And I used to like watching Four Eyes Furniture a lot. Two guys out in California, and then they kind of split, but they're still together. But their content has just kind of gone. What I've noticed they'll do is, and we probably should figure this out, but they will somehow on YouTube, the thumbnail video, the picture will change. You click on it, it's the same video you've watched. But like if they haven't put out a new video in so long, they'll just change the thumbnail to get the clicks, I guess.
Ooh. Yeah, that seems a little sketchy.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? I mean, that seems shady to me. But I mean,
Well, we're going to start next month. We're just going to start recycling our podcast.
yeah. We'll just
Take
go
a month off.
best of.
Yeah, best of. Good luck with that one, Tommy. I now, if I'm gonna watch some woodworking, I like Make Something with David Picciuto.
Yeah.
I like his whole vibe. To be honest with you, I know him and I probably wouldn't get along. Like politically, just guessing. I don't know. But just kind of the way he shows his mistakes and the screw ups, and his editing, man, that guy that does his editing does a really good job. I love his shop. It's like an 80s skating rink in there.
Yeah.
He's got paint on the walls, carpeted floors. Everybody gave him so much hate about having carpet on the floors.
Well,
He finally was just like, shut up. I don't care what you think.
Stumpy Nub. You ever watch Stumpy Nubs?
Yep.
He's a big pro carpet shop guy. He's like, oh, it's easy to clean. And you don't slide.
Yeah, I watch some. Like I said, I don't watch anybody.
Yeah.
That makes cabinets. I can watch myself.
Fisher Shop. I like to watch Fisher Shop.
We need to trade list or something.
He's just kind of a guy. Well, we're checking off a bubble on the old list because one of those things is a YouTube Heroes that has been on there for a while, and we've never.
Yeah, that's an old bubble there.
Yeah, we never gotten to it, but. Hey, somehow we did today. I don't even know how. I mean, it wasn't. I have it nowhere on my list, but whatever. Toot toot.
I'm trying to think. Wood Whisperer, I'm out.
Nah, I can't listen to his voice.
I can't do. He used to be really popular. Jay Bates is a good one though. I like Jay Bates. YouTube took away the button where you could sort by date. And it would take you all the way to their very first video. Well, it's gone away now, but they said they're bringing it back.
Gotcha.
I hope they do, man, because you go to somebody that's got 3 million followers now and go look at their first
video.
YouTube. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I used to watch April Wilkerson.
I used to too, but then I'm like, she just gets too much stuff for free because she's a girl and a in a male dominated field trait.
Yeah, and to me, that feels disingenuous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
she's like, "Oh, look at Triton routers; they're so great. Look at my Triton this, Triton that," and I'm like, "Really?"
Well, and she built that one little shop that it's kind of. We got a place here that's kind of the same thing where you can just kind of go get like wood, but not like a. What am I trying to say? Not like a lumber yard, but if you just wanted a couple of slabs of something, like she'll have it, and then she's got a whole nother shop, and it was all Grizzly. Grizzly gave her like every machine that they sell.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never seen her make anything other than like a workbench. Like I've never seen her make anything of substance.
Back in the day, 10 years ago, she was making stuff, and she was really fun to watch. Just like woodworking for mere mortals.
Yeah.
Steve Ramsey, that guy. Steve really hadn't changed a whole lot about what he'll still go out there with a 2x4 and make a picnic table or something, But it's crazy to me that not the better. I don't want to sound conceited, but the more you do this woodworking thing, and the better you get at it, and you develop your own ways and techniques, some of those guys seem to just kind of fade away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You do a lot of culling in there.
Well, I think that's why I like to watch furniture guys, because I don't do furniture. So they, I don't have a whole lot to which we can talk about that later if you want to. Business plan is for the next 5 years is fixing to take off. But
Okay.
finally got a goal in place, and we're fixing to move through it. But since I don't do furniture, I don't have anything to compare against them, or like to think that they're doing something silly, or that's just unnecessary, or you're just doing it for show. You're doing it for the YouTube. You're not doing it because it generally needs to be done. Like I kind of
Yeah.
don't know. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Have you checked out Andy Rawls?
Oh yeah, I like Andy Ross.
Andy, he did an Airstream a little while back. I like his equipment.
The
Oliver,
artisty.
yeah, man, Oliver equipment. I'm telling you, I've never ran a piece of Oliver, but I really want to. It just seems like that old
Well,
World War II era heavy metal, heavy iron.
yeah.
I love that stuff.
But the problem
man.
with it is having three phase.
Yep.
Most of
Yep.
all that stuff's three phase, and
Well, and then a lot of other ones I watch don't have anything at all to do with woodworking.
yeah.
Just random stuff.
Now I'll do
Entertainment.
the random thing, like whatever comes across the bottom. Sometimes I'll do the random, just kind of what if it piques my interest, but just kind of got those
Yeah.
core things.
Uh,
Well, what do
we
you?
have some rain coming through,
Oh yeah,
so just get ready just in case, because we are the first ones to lose power.
well we had raindrops so big when we went to dinner, I was able to dodge them. I mean, it was. I mean, I've never seen. If you could imagine balls of hail coming down, but they weren't frozen.
Yeah,
That's what these raindrops were like. I mean,
you talking
they
about
were
the
just,
big old fat rain?
yeah, just big old golf balls. I mean, I was through the parking lot, juking and jiving, walked in. Kim was like, "Is it still raining?" I was like, "It is," but I missed every drop. I sidestepped every one of them.
Like baseballs.
Right? They were huge.
Well, take me through your week.
I don't want to talk about my week at all because it was super unproductive. It
All right. Well, moving on. Next
yeah,
on the list
yeah.
is
I want to talk about my week, but I really don't have anything from this week to talk about as far as like doing anything.
mm-hmm.
But I've got some thoughts that come into my mind when I was in the shop doing nothing, pretty much. I mean, I had to piddle with some little stuff, and I did get one little build done that is just going to sit on the trailer for a week or so because apparently they're on vacation, and so I don't know. I don't know when I'll install it, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was a four drawer bench. Like it's, like 15 feet long, and it's just under a window
So-
seat. So
Speaking of completing and installing projects, I've noticed on your Simplify Builds social media, there's a lot of stuff going on. And so, do you combine Walker and Wood and your projects, or
not on my social
that-
media.
is that all you've done? You've done all those.
That's all my builds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it seems like some of those, like maybe I just missed it, or we didn't talk about it, or maybe they were old. You just got pictures or something. It seems like they're just coming through.
It does. Sometimes it'll seem that way because sometimes it's this weird cyclic rate, and sometimes if it's a project that I know is not going to show its best until it's got the finish on it, I'll hold it.
Oh,
And
yeah, I
wait
forgot
till the
about that.
finishers have cycled through and they've done it, and then I'll kind of let it go all at one time. So it just kind of depends on the project.
Okay.
But a lot of mine, realistically, you do, if you're following my stories especially, you'll see it twice. Like you'll see it unfinished, and then you'll see it again when the finishers come through, or
Yeah,
the client
okay.
will do some decorating, and I'll get a picture from them with some decorations and stuff on it, and I'll repost it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
that makes sense. That makes more sense now.
yeah, it. And then sometimes I go back, like if it's been a slow week, I'll go back. Ooh, I was trying to switch accounts, and that was a 97-mile-an-hour tri-tune shooting across some kind of lake somewhere. I don't. It's barely in the water. It's all over the internet if you hadn't seen it, but yeah, I was just trying to look to see what kind of some of that stuff's kind of a repost, and then trying to do more reels because reels seem to be the trick to getting more followers, like
Yeah.
without doing boost, without doing paid boost. And I've done paid boost and have had good returns on it as far as followers. Now I've got no business out of them, but but speaking of, we actually sponsored a little league team.
Wait a minute. You got a rat in your pocket?
Off the Rails podcast sponsored a little league team.
Hey, man. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I
knew that.
I just didn't ask you to contribute. Well, my nephew, my sister hit me up. She's like, "Hey, does Simplify feel like sponsoring an all-star baseball team?" And I was like, "Probably." I said, "What do you need?" So we kind of talked about what they needed, and I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, I'm not going to get any business off of this at all. Like, they'll do like they'll put your logo up on the thing and like recognize it. I said, let's put all the podcast stuff on it. I was like, maybe we'll get a listener or two out of it. I was like, I'm not going to get a bit. I mean, I don't want to come down there to do business. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I was like, so let's don't do Simplify Builds. Let's do it under the podcast and see. So, the podcast logo, it'll go like when they do their tournament and stuff for All Stars. The Off the Rails podcast is a sponsor.
Well, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Now all we got to do is get a sponsor.
Right. Instead of being a sponsor.
What else? So you didn't really do anything, a whole lot of productive stuff. Although I'm sure you did. You just don't.
Yeah, it was one of those weeks. I got that little build done, got the shop, did some cleaning, got the dust collector, fully on the shapers, did my first set of doors with the shapers.
Here we go. See, I told you.
Yeah.
I knew you did something.
Well, the drawer slabs. I did the drawer slabs with the shaper tables. And much better results. Much cleaner. Much tighter fit, way more exact than the router tables were.
Yeah.
Really want a power feeder to go on that cutter though, boy. Whew. Oh, and I need the link. I didn't think that I needed it, but you were talking about, I think the last episode that aired, a sled that would fit in the miter slot on a shaper table, and I said I don't think I have a miter slot, and I do.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I think you said you had one for the router table, but you need one for the shaper.
Yeah. Well, I used the same one, but I didn't think I had a track, so I'm like, hey, let's put that bad boy in a track, because I'm going to tell you something. When you take it out of that thing and spin it around to put the other side in it, and that shaper heads go, I do not like it. I don't like it.
I told you, man, the shaper will give me the heebie-jeebies because it don't care nothing about you, man. And for you guys that may not know, a shaper is a big machine. Typically, they're 600-700 pounds. 3 horse and a half, 3 horse, and they spin an incredibly large open bit just out in the air.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the thing about them that's terrifying, is that it's
yeah.
Imagine it would. I think it would be about the equivalent of your buddy holding a chainsaw wide open, and you walking up to it and trying to cut some kind of detailed edge in a board while he holds the chainsaw.
Yep.
Like that's about what it feels. It's about what it feels like when you run something through there. I mean, it requires attention and respect and
And it happens fast.
Yeah.
If something's going to happen, it's going to happen fast.
But I do like the fences on it. They're just so much better than the router table. It just seems like I have way better control. Like I got way less bounce in the board. I don't know if it's necessarily. Do they spin faster than a router table? Or is it that
I don't know, but I know there's no flex in the bit, which I think is a common problem on a router table, especially with a 1/4-inch collet.
Yeah.
I think the shaper kind of, because you're riding on this huge spindle now.
Yeah.
That I think that's what makes them more accurate. I'm not sure. And plus each side of the fence is independent.
Right. That's true.
So you can really, and Dino, by the way, has a video where he made this little jig that goes in his miter slot, and it automatically sets his He runs his fences up till it touches the plywood,
Yeah.
locks them down, removes the jig, runs his door parts.
I might need to check that out.
Yeah, if I can send it to you, I'll send it. I'm not sure if it's public or not.
I've got just a slight. I mean, it is ever so like it's so close. If I'm paying attention, I can walk it and I miss it. But if I'm not remembering, I mean, it's so close.
Yeah,
Like I just need to remember to loosen it, and that's a good thing because it's a thumb screw, you know. So if you loosen it off, and it's just a micro adjustment, and I do like that a lot. But
oh yeah, yeah. With having that miter slot in that tabletop, it really gives you a good surface to make any sort of spacer.
Yeah,
because the bit's not going to change in diameter, right? So you just need to know where to set the fence. So
yeah.
it's a good little tip, good little trick.
Yeah, it's
I
a good thing.
don't let anybody here but me run the shaper.
Yeah. Now I saw there was a guy here not too long ago on Facebook Marketplace that had one for sale, had a shaper for sale, and I wasn't interested in the shaper, but he had some kind of essentially like a blade guard on this shaper, and I keep messaging the guy like, is that something you built? Is that aftermarket? Is that something you bought? Like, I would really like to know, and I can't get him to respond. I know that Grizzly, I don't know if it comes with it or if there's an aftermarket part, but there is a part that goes on there that's kind of a blade shroud, but not really at the same time.
Yep.
But
it just kind of covers it a little bit.
Kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the slot cutter, I'm power feeder is in the future, because let's just eliminate that bad boy. Let's just feed it through with that.
Yeah, the power feeder is a game changer.
Yeah.
What else you want to cover for your week?
That's it for now on that. There's just some other thoughts that I had that I wrote down through the thing that kind of bump on, but not really anything. I patched my first tire this week.
Oh, did you patch it or plug it?
I plugged it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it. How'd you like that GIF I sent you?
Yeah.
Do it.
Well, there's a plug somewhere in the tire, and then I had to put another one in there because when I finally got it to, I run the one through there that's kind of, that got the rasp on it, so I cleaned it, and then I run the one through there with the plug. I mean, I
went too far.
I didn't know how much pressure to put, and I went slap through it and tried to, and no luck coming back up. I was like,
that'll help self-balance the tire,
I guess.
Anyway, so yeah,
I looked into. Have you ever heard of foam filling of tires? Like that you can have them,
not car tires.
You can have them foam filled. Well, yeah, that was the thing. Like, I didn't know, like, if you could or not, and it seems to be a mixed bag out there. But it seems like the general consensus is don't do it for things that go at high speeds. There's no traction, or you lose traction because it doesn't have any squishiness anymore.
Yeah,
you know, and things like that. But I was like, man, that would be great for a trailer.
For a trailer, yeah, absolutely.
But they're like, you're probably going to bounce it to death too because the tires have no give.
Your trailer, does it have wheel wells on the inside or the outside?
Outside.
You got to watch that right side, man. I noticed with mine, with the one I got with the tires on the outside, man, you really got to watch it. It'll be over there on the other side of the white line in no time, man.
Eating curb and whatever else is over there.
And you're picking up nails and glass and on the side. Because you have to move over, for a car coming.
Yeah.
And then I told Riley, I said, if you ever pull this trailer, you really look at that tire. And I'm, close to the yellow line, and the other one is on the white line.
Yeah.
You don't have wiggle room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely tight. I mean, the good thing is when you drive like a Ram, like our trucks, is pretty much if you can clear the mirrors with it, though, you're probably okay.
Keep the mirrors in.
I mean, big old moose antlers coming down the road.
Well, I've had a very busy week. We've done a lot of things. Some big news. I have a house foundation.
I saw that yesterday. I was very excited.
Yep, I've got electricity running out there. That was an ordeal. I've got a temp pole mounted and it's already powered up.
Nice.
I have foundation poured. and then I've got the forms up to pour the slab. So now I believe we're just waiting on the plumber to get all his stuff ran, and then they're going to come in and pour the slab. So very exciting. Very exciting times.
They'll do gravel on top of
sand,
and then sand,
mm-hmm.
and then pour on top of the sand.
Yep.
So the plumber does first and then the sand, or does they do the sand?
Not sure. I don't really know.
See, I don't know about sand. I know up here the gravel gets filled if they're doing gravel, and then the plumbers are digging through the gravel to set everything because they can use the gravel to make pitches, and drops.
Yeah, it could be the same thing here, but it's really nice though because I have Brandon, my cousin, he knows a little bit about building houses, and Sam and Frank, so Sam's building the house, and then when I talked to Frank's like, well, how's your house coming? I'm like, we're doing this. He goes, oh, okay. Well, look at this and do this and, look at doing that. And I'm like, dude, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I've got like a counselor. I've got two awesome builders that are both talking to me and giving me ideas and things. So I think it's going to go really good. Really, we got to pick doors out. We're picking those out. We just picked windows out, things like that. We got to go find flooring, that sort of thing. So, it's coming.
Yeah. Have you thought about doing, I know you don't like water, but have you thought about doing like any radiant flooring in this house?
Nope.
Any radiant heat?
Nope.
I think I want that in the shop. I think when I build a shop, I think I want radiant heat in the shop.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got two big wins versus the misses.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I've got her talked into no mullions in any of the windows.
Okay.
Straight panes.
Those are the dividers in the windows for who all y'all trying to figure out what the heck.
Yeah. So Brandon,
he doesn't want any mutton chops in his windows.
No muttons in there. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I hate those things. It's not 1992.
Yeah.
And we're not matching anything. It's going to have a metal outside, metal roof. And I got to thinking, all these houses I go to now, none of them have mullions in the windows. They're all, you can see all the way through them. Tammy really wants a lot of light in the house, a lot of natural light. So I won that. Believe it or not, I won the water heater battle. I could not talk Tammy into a tankless.
Why?
Because she was under the impression that it didn't get hot enough. And I was like, sweetheart, when a company designs a tankless water heater, they're competing against a tanked water heater. And they're going to make it where it can heat it up the same.
Yeah.
Otherwise people wouldn't buy it. So she finally found out through plenty of people that have them that they in fact get scalding hot.
Oh, yeah.
And you never run out. So we got her talked into getting a tankless, and that's really big. That's really big for me to get one of those. I don't like a water
Are you doing
tank.
a recirculator?
No, I don't think so, because the plumbing is really close. The heater will be really close to the master bath.
Okay.
And pretty close to the kitchen.
So it's getting pumped a bunch.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to have to wait that long on it, so I think and that's a small price to pay, man, to not have to deal with the tank and trip over it. And
well, it's someplace to put it, yeah. You got to put it somewhere. Are you doing an electric tankless or a gas tankless?
Gas.
Okay.
Gas water heater. I should, what I'm thinking about just saying hot water heater, because I know how bad that bothers people.
Hot water heater. It's a cold water heater, technically.
So we're going to get a gas hot water heater. And we got a gas range.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a wood burning stove in it. So here, unfortunately, that's just something you have to get used to where we're at. We're at the end of the power line. I'm not going to hate on the power company publicly on the podcast. But it's part of living here. You're going to have to deal with power outages.
I love having gas appliances.
Yeah.
And I wish they'd figure out a way to make a gas oven.
Make one correctly, you mean?
Sure. But I don't, surely there's some kind of way to harness the technology of gas and make it into an oven.
Ours is a gas oven.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know there was I really didn't think there was such a thing.
Oh, a gas? I thought you were being funny.
No, I have a gas stove, like the top, but the oven is gas.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, they make them.
Oh, they do. They do. What
Yeah.
am I thinking?
I don't know, man. I thought you were like
Oh, yeah, you're
talking
right.
about,
Because the first time we had a gas oven, we didn't realize that the drawer on the bottom of a gas oven is not for storage
yeah.
in a gas oven. It's for cooking, and we set some stuff on fire in it. You're right. I do remember that now. Yeah,
Now, the one
base housing in California was not happy.
yeah, oh, yeah, I imagine not. The one in the camper, you have to light it with a match. And, buddy, it's, good luck.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put a lot of money in a cake or something and try to bake it in the camper oven, but it gets hot.
Yeah.
So we got a foundation. We
That's
got all
awesome.
that going. Alabama Power randomly showed up to set poles and get power on. And I say randomly because they make you sign all this paperwork giving them the legal authority to come on your property and set a pole. That's a big deal, man. I mean, a lot of legal paperwork.
Really?
Yep. And I didn't turn it in, and I kept calling the guy, and I'm like, hey, I got this paper, and finally I called him a message. I called him and left a message, said, you're holding this whole house built up. I have to have power. We can't do anything. We're at a standstill. I've already got the loan going, so I need power. About a week later, dude, they just randomly showed up, started setting poles without the permission slip from me.
So it's really not that big of a thing.
And they got those. The builder came the next day. I dug his hole for him for the temporary pole. And he went, slipped it down in there. And then the day after that, Alabama Power was like, yeah, we'll come hook it up. Boop. Went out there and hooked it up. And I'm like, dude, after waiting and waiting and waiting, you guys are just like all of a sudden on the ball,
You're hot.
Yep, but they shut the shop down for a little while. So we got a transformer coming off the road. The primary, comes over here by the shop. And it goes to a transformer, and that transformer feeds the shop. So they went past that transformer to another pole, set another transformer for the house, and went to so that's the primary pole. Then they put a secondary pole in to carry the 240 volts, and then next they're just going to go right to the house after it's done. So
Gotcha.
exciting times. Yes.
Will that run pretty much with the driveway? Is that kind of how you got it set up? Or is it
No, it goes
different?
straight back beside the shop all the way through the back pasture.
Oh, okay.
Then makes a hard left 90 and goes to the house.
Okay. I was going to ask you on your gas situation, have you thought about running a gas line to like your patio area where you're going to run, where you might be having like a barbecue grill
Hadn't thought about it, but
while you're
I
running
suppose
gas?
we could.
While you're running gas, and you can kill your tanks. If you, I don't know if you cook with propane or natural
Yeah,
gas.
we do some.
On your
Yeah, we
grill.
do.
But we had that at one house, and that was super. It just was so awesome not to ever worry about tanks.
Yeah.
But
We'll have to see. The only way I don't know. I'm not a big fan of putting the grill on the back porch
I'm
if
with
it's
you.
covered.
That's
So I got to think about that.
it does have a drawback.
Yeah. So we'll see, because I'm not naming any names, but somebody who lives with me has a habit of somehow or another catching the grill on fire. And I don't know.
Nobody else in this house is allowed to touch the grill.
Yeah.
Don't mess with
Yeah,
them.
I don't go on it too much. She does a lot of the grilling, and I'll tell you what, man, she can throw down on that thing
Yeah.
too, buddy. Oh yeah.
Nice.
So we got all that going. We did an install Wednesday and Thursday. Nope. Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
We did an install. This is for the Bulgarian couple
Okay.
that live completely off the grid. I really want to go and drink a cup of coffee with her husband. He seems like, kind of like the rocket scientist type.
Yeah.
I did ask him, so he said, hey, if you guys need, and I'm not going to try to do his accent, but it was heavy. But he's like, if you guys need power, I've got a plug here you can use. He said it's on, whatever. And then, so that was my gateway to talk to him, because he's got a huge solar field out there.
Okay.
And so I was like, hey, I noticed, is this coming off the solar? He's like, oh yeah. Yeah, this is all solar. He's got 121,000 watts at any given moment during the day
Okay.
for power. He's got enough batteries to run his full house at a full load for 3 days. He has a 400 amp service coming into his house. And yeah, and he spent $40,000 on the solar system.
See,
Now he told me you could do it for 10, but 10, he said 10, very unreliable. You could do it for 10, 10 unreliable. He said 40 grand worth of solar panels and batteries, buddy, you got power. You don't have to worry about.
how big is this like field though? Like, I mean, how much room does this take up?
I would say it's probably 70 yards deep and 70 yards wide. So each solar panel, let's say, is probably,
I mean, that's a
it's
football
not
field.
70 yards. It's not 70 yards wide. It's probably 30 yards wide and 70 yards deep. And he's got like 8 solar panels, right, that are 30, 40, 50 feet long. And they're just kind of stacked one behind each other, aimed up at the sun. And he said that he wants to be independent. Now, he has some political views that he comes from Russia.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you what the man said. He came to Fairhope to get his freedom, you know, where he can kind of live under the graces of our freedoms over here. And he said Fairhope started to grow too big for him, too many people. And he literally looked at the state map, the population, the density, and he picked a spot, buddy, in the middle of nowhere.
You don't want people.
No. And he goes, the government, this is the last place that the government of Alabama is going to pay any attention to ever.
Just terrible land, no reason to come.
Exactly. Nobody's out there.
Yeah.
You know, he's off the grid. He's below the radar. And he told me, he said, I'm telling you right now, man, America is headed down the same path. He said, I look at what you go through in this country. I've been there. I'm seeing all the red flags, all the warning flags. He said, you better do whatever you can do now to get ready and to be self-sufficient and to be independent. And I took that to heart because he's not, I don't know if he's left, right, middle, independent, conservative, liberal. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I know he comes from a place where he didn't have a lot of options.
Right.
And he moved over here and he was like, nope, too many people in Fairhope. I'm gone. And I'm telling you, dude, you've probably never been to this area of Alabama. I mean,
That's impressive because Fairhope is not that populated. I mean,
yeah, you know, it's blowing up down there.
Is it?
You know, tourists and this and that, yeah, and taxes and all this stuff. So it's really neat to talk to him and kind of get his mindset on things and why he decided to do what he's doing.
yeah.
Neat guy.
So
neat guy.
are all these solar panels, are they on the ground?
No, they're about probably 10 feet off the ground.
Okay.
And they're up and they're kind of, you know, angled.
Do they track the sun?
Nope. Doesn't have to.
They're position. Okay.
So that's why he was saying if you go, he is overbuilt. He can power 4 houses, you know, at a time. He's got 121,000 watts available to him at any moment. And your house is just not going to pull that much current.
Yeah.
So he said basically he wants 150% availability of what he needed, right? So if he needs 400 amps, he wants 600 amps available on a cloudy day in the dead of winter. And so he built his solar panel to do that. The problem is, not the problem, but the good thing is in the summertime, it's really overproducing.
But he's not hooked up. But he's so off the grid, he's not even feeding power back, so he's not making any money off of it either.
But he said it was 25 grand to run power back there to his house off the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this dude is 2 miles off the road.
Okay.
So if you think about that, you know, he's 15 grand more.
Yeah.
And it costs zero. So, and another thing is, his wife really wants a lot of plants in the house, so their windows are not like they don't block a lot of the UV light.
Okay.
And so the builder was like, hey, man, you know, like we have energy efficient windows and we have this and, you know, your power bill is going to be crazy. And then she reminded him,
Yeah.
I
No.
don't have a power bill. I don't care how much that air conditioner has to run.
Right.
It's going to cost me a penny.
That's interesting.
It's just a neat,
Yeah.
a neat setup over there.
Well, are they like on well water? What about water?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well water. And he picked that. He had it drilled, I think, before he moved in to be sure the flow rate, be sure they had enough for it to sustain a garden. He's got 2 huge ponds out there. So, I mean, dude, he's set up, man.
Yeah. Interesting.
He's set up. And a beautiful house. A lot of windows, a lot of natural lights. Got a bridge, on the second floor going over the living room. I mean, just really neat place. But the install went really good there. Not a whole lot of cabinets. And I got a message from the builder that night, and he said, "Hey man, just want to let you know they absolutely love the cabinets." And it's funny because the husband would come in like every hour on his phone, and he'd be FaceTiming his wife. And he's like, "Yeah, look, you have this. Look, you have this and this and this." And so anyway, it just kind of gives you a good feeling that they can come over here and,
Yeah.
and live how they want to live, man. And sometimes I think we kind of lose sight of that a little bit. You can.
Oh, there's definitely a lot of that.
Yeah, you can do what you want to do if you want to get off grid and go. Now that's today.
Yeah.
There's talk about you have to have a pole run into your house, you have to have wires, and you have to have a minimum. They're thinking about doing that, but as far as right now, there's no legal requirement for you to do it.
There's so few people that are like that. Why even bother?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't figure out why you would stress over that because there's so few.
Yeah, they're making their money.
Yeah.
Without him, they're still making their money.
Yeah.
So let's see. That checks those 2 off. We went, I told you last week we were going to metal detecting.
I got that on my notes. I was going to ask you about that. How'd that go?
Yep. It went amazing. We went to the old school there.
Did you find my lunch money?
Yep, I did. I found some quarters, nickels, dimes, and a bunch of pennies.
Kim is having a hard time believing you did not go to school there. She's trying to understand.
So I need to apologize.
Okay. You were wrong.
I need to publicly apologize for that. Apparently, I went to school there.
I was trying to figure out how you didn't too. But
According to my mother, I went to school there. I don't remember it. I have zero recollection of kindergarten.
Well, that's where kindergarten was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I absolutely do not remember that building. I do not ever remember being there.
Who was your kindergarten teacher? Do you remember? Do you know?
I have no idea.
No.
I have no idea. But a funny story is my dad used to have to go out of town. He was a head maintenance technician for this company, and they would send him to school up in Vermont or Massachusetts or Delaware, and somewhere over there in the Northeast. And I knew that, and so I went and I told my kindergarten teacher, who was apparently a man.
So you probably have Mr. Marcus then. That's the only male kindergarten teacher there was.
Probably. And I told him, I said, "Hey, just letting you know, my dad is out of town and my mom needs somebody to come sleep in the bed with her."
Oh my God, I'm trying not to blow the microphone out. Oh my God, did you really?
I did. And I was like, man, mom's going to be, scared in there by herself.
Yeah.
She needs somebody in there with her. So I just told Mr. Marcus, I was like, "Hey, Dad's out of town. Mom really needs somebody to come lay in the bed with her."
Yeah, if it was a male, I think I'm right that he was the only male kindergarten teacher there was. That it had to be. Do you remember like Halloween? Like in the kindergarten at all?
Seems like I remember a Mr. Marcus.
Because he was over the top at Halloween. Like that was his thing. Like,
yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
But so he called Mom that day, and he said, "Hey, just kind of letting you know what your son said." And Mama goes, "No, he's out of town. He's going to school. Like, he's coming back." "No, I'm not one of those women. Nope. I'll wait on my husband to come home." And so he was just like, "Well, I'm just letting you know what your boy is up here telling everybody.
Right.
As soon as your daddy leaves, your mama needs somebody to go lay down with."
That is funny. That is too funny.
But Riley found a bunch of coins. Trey went. He found a bunch of coins and stuff. And then we went. So my brother works at what used to be the old cotton gin there in Greenville, and they had this white kind of house looking building that everybody used to have to go in. And my grandmother and my grandfather both worked there. Granddaddy worked the night shift there. So everybody had to go through this white building to clock in or whatever they're going to do. And so Chris took us over there, and he's like, hey, just, you may find something here. My daughter gets out of the truck, gets her metal detector off the back, swings for 10 seconds, gets a target, digs it up. It's a 1942 Mercury dime, solid silver.
Really?
Yes. She found 2 rings. She found a silver ring at the kindergarten, a toe ring, because it's only like that big round. She found another ring at the cotton gin and a silver dime. I couldn't believe. I was so mad I couldn't believe it.
So she won first place for the day.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I found the most money, and Trey had Chris's son with him, and so he was like, Chris's son wanted Trey to dig everything. That was so funny. He was like, dig it, let's see what it is. He was over there digging trash up, aluminum cans and whatever,
Because you can tell by the tone kind of what it might be, right? At least like metal-wise. You might not know what, but you can tell it's aluminum or...
Yeah, you can tell. It basically reads the conductivity and whether or not it's how ferrous it is.
Okay.
And that's how it kind of gives you a reading. So silver is very conductive, but it's not ferrous. It reads high. Gold is conductive, not ferrous. But then like iron reads really low. So that's the basics of how it works.
Huh.
Let's see.
Let me
I've got so had a little snafu with ordering a trash pullout. Never did show up, and I got frustrated.
Yeah.
And I called the supplier there, and I said, dude, where's my trash pullout? And he's like, oh, let me check. I said, man, it's been 2 weeks. I got to put these cabinets in. It's an hour and a half away. I really don't want to make a 3-hour round trip to go put a trash can in.
Right.
Of course, never heard anything back. Never bothered to call me back. Never bothered to say, here it is. It'll be there today. It showed up that evening, so I had to stay late and put it in. But just never heard anything. Never, just like, don't care. We don't care if you're waiting on it. Don't matter to us. Yeah, we know you ordered it 2 weeks ago and all this stuff, and it's just.
So now Vaughn Plywood is now providing your trash pullouts.
Bingo, buddy. I called Vaughn.
Saw that
hey,
coming.
it's a BCS 29765. Can y'all get those? And he goes, let me check. He called me back in 3 minutes, man. He's like, yeah, how many a month do you use? I said, roughly 2 a month. He said, okay. He said, do you have to have one right now? And I said, no, I've got one. I can wait till the next job. He's like, all right, cool. Here's what we're going to do. The next time we order, because you order so much, you get free shipping.
Right.
So they're like, next time we order, we'll order you 2 of them, and we'll keep 2 here in stock just for you.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But they are. And he was constantly calling me. He called me 2 or 3 times that day and said, hey, how many do you need? Okay, well, let me check. Now they're a little bit more expensive. They're $15 more a piece, through them. But I was like, listen, I don't care. I've told y'all since I've been in business, I don't care what you charge.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're $1 higher, $20 higher, whatever. It's going to be there. And now because guess what? That 3-hour round trip I would have had to make if that other one had to come in is a lot more than $15.
Right, for sure.
Well,
you get $15 worth of stress of whether you're going to get it or not.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
Everything has a monetary value.
One of my sayings here is hassle has a monetary value. It is worth actual money to me to not have to be hassled.
Yeah. So
Vaughn Plywood is now my dealer on trash pullouts. And I'm really excited about that. And the other people, man, they're eventually, I'm going to get a phone call saying, hey, you hadn't ordered this in a long time. You hadn't ordered this in a long time. What's going on with this? And I'm going to say, well, the reason I don't order this is because y'all did this. And the reason this is because of this. And
I mean, you want to call them, be like, hey, I just want to let you know because of your lack of, but the problem is I don't care.
They don't care. It's not going to do any
Well,
good.
that guy doesn't care because if he did, he'd have called you back more promptly and had provided better service. But whoever he answers to is going to care eventually. I mean,
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to call me back and let me know where it was.
Yeah.
So 6 hours goes by. I don't hear anything. I call him, no answer. I call not his cell phone, their place of business. Nobody answers the phone. Nobody.
Yeah.
So I was like, fine. You want to play this game? I'll move on. I hate to be that way, but then I don't hate to be that way because I've got a business to run. I've got customers.
Yeah.
We're running a tight ship over here as far as money. It's like I don't have time to play around with you guys.
Yeah.
If you don't want to play the game, fine. Go deal with somebody else.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you found an alternative source, though. I mean, that's when it really sucks is when they know they have you and you can't. They know you can't pivot anywhere else.
Yep. So anyway, we'll see what's going on. I'll save what's coming up this week for later.
All right.
But that pretty much took me through the last week. Like I said, it was a good week, man. It was a good week. We had a smooth install. Everything fit in the kitchen. I had to land the refrigerator wrap, the left side of the refrigerator wrap, dead even with a non-cased opening.
Oh, this is that house. Okay.
This is that house. So I built in a 1/4 inch of playroom, and when I was done, everything was touching from the opening
Nice.
all the way to the wall. Everything. I mean, if I'd have taken off 3/16, the refrigerator would have stuck out. But the weird thing is the cased opening, had a little bow in it. Just a gradual bow. Well, the fridge panel is dead straight.
Yeah.
So I put a full back on my fridge panels. I had to cut a relief cut going up and going over so I could flex this left side of the refrigerator in.
To make it
and
match.
kind of follow the wall. Yep. And it just kind of shows you, you have to be ready to try to come up with something on the job site to just make it work, man. You got to do stuff to make it work.
Creative
so of
thinking
course
is a daily task.
Yep. I told the builder, I said, if you're wondering why the back of that's all cut up like that, this is why I had to flex it in.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, I found a really good corner pull out, the little kidney shape.
Okay, guess that one.
Pull out. Oh, man, it's amazing. Super heavy duty. I bet you could put a truck on that thing, man. The builder really liked it. The customer loves it. So I'll send you that in case you ever run across
Remember
something.
that hinge placement, though.
Oh, man.
That was
That was so close, dude. Well, I do have a couple of things I put in the notes.
You got one that you're just going to have to start there, or I'm not going to be able to handle it.
I'm guessing it says what seed to plant to make elevators
You got
in
it.
heaven.
Bingo bongo.
All right, so this is related to the pictures I sent you first of the week, Monday. And you said free ride for you, free ride for everybody. Remember that?
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got a local guy here that has an addiction problem, and his drug of choice is crystal meth, and he enjoys smoking that. And for the way I look at it is, he knows who I am, right? He's not stupid. He knows I have a family. He knows I run the business here. He'll come by in the summertime. He walks everywhere he goes. We got him a bicycle to try to help him. The community kind of came together and did that. Of course, he sold it for meth money. And he would come by in the summer and ask me for water. Hey, Mitch, do you have a water? Yep. I'll go and give him a water. I didn't give him a lot of money. I think total over the years, I might have gave him $20 or something, to go get bread. And I said, I better see you back in a couple hours walking with a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Like you asked me for bread money. I know you're going to walk back by in front of the shop. You better have a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And so anyway, one day he came by a couple weeks ago, and we were back in the woods. We came out and he was in the yard. So I told the kids, I said, hey, go sit in the truck. I'll be there in a minute. Let me deal with this guy. Because you never know what somebody's going to do, right?
Right.
And he was having a conversation with me, and he goes, listen, man, listen, I got it figured out. And he was obviously high. So I was like, what's up? He goes, man, listen, when we get to heaven, I know what kind of seed to plant to grow a certain type of tree so we can make elevators. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, I can't tell you what kind of tree it is, but I know what kind of seed to take up there so we can plant and we can have all the elevators we want, man. And I was like, that's great, dude.
Yeah.
That's great. So fast forward, I'm metal detecting, right? And I get a phone call from my wife and says, hey, he's here. And he is on my son's dirt bike in my yard on my property, riding it, but he's not crunk. He's acting like he's riding it.
He's just foot pedaling it around the yard.
No, he's not even moving.
Oh.
He's just sitting on it. He's just sitting on it, dude. He's like, acting like he's just running 100 miles an hour across the road. And Tammy goes, I don't think he doesn't know that he's not moving.
Steve, put on a helmet. You're going to get hurt.
So I said, okay, well, now what do I do? He's high. Obviously you can't trust people that are high on methamphetamine.
You're not there.
They don't make good choices. Yep. So I'm not there. I said, do you have, a way to protect yourself? She said, oh, yeah. I said, all right, just leave him alone. Call the sheriff's department. Let them deal with it, right?
Yeah.
So luckily I've got cameras. I pulled up the cameras from my phone. We sat down under the shade tree, and Chris and everybody was all,
Popped
looking.
A bag of popcorn.
Yep. So Charlie shows up. I call Charlie. I see him roll in. I was like, hey, dude, listen, the cops are on their way. Just, if you don't mind, can you just kind of hang out, make sure nothing bad happens? He's like, oh, yeah, dude, I got it. I said, well, don't tell him, but, the cops will be there in just a second. Boom. 3 of them come rolling up, dude. And they handle their business. They talk to him 10 or 15 minutes, and I see him put his hands up, and they check him and put his hands behind his back, and they put him in the car. So I told Tammy, I said, before they leave, you need to tell them you want him trespassed from my property. You got to check the boxes, guys.
Yeah.
Don't be a desperado. Don't think you can just do whatever you want. Check the boxes. Go the legal route. And so she said, hey, can I ask why he was arrested? And the guy's like, yeah, public intoxication. He admitted to them that he smoked a bunch of crystal meth that morning. And Tammy said, okay, well, I would like to trespass him from my property, obviously. And the cop's like, I sure hope you would. Here's some paperwork. You can go downtown and you can sign some forms, and he'll be legally trespassed. If he walks back on your property, off the right of way of the road, we'll come and we'll arrest him every time he does it. And I said, okay, good. And so they did all that, and they handled all that, and now we've got to go to town and do that. But it was crazy because we live in a tiny community.
Right.
And I get a phone call from a buddy, my landlord, matter of fact. And I see him ride by on the camera. 2 minutes later, dude, my phone's ringing. I said, hello. He goes, man, I ain't even going to lie to you, man. What's going on at your shop? I need to know. I'm just being nosy, man. What's going on? So I told him. And so we come back into town, and we stopped by, the local watering hole because we wanted some boiled peanuts. Ooh. And the guy sitting back there, he goes, man, what's all them cops doing down there at your house? And I was like, boy, it don't take long in a tiny town like this, man. So I told them, and I said, you just have to be careful with those kinds of people. Am I worried about any kind of retaliation? Of course I am, right? He was on my property. The police were called. So now I'm kind of a little bit heightened around him because, dude, he walks by with a match.
Yeah.
It's over with. So I've been cordial with him. I've been nice to him. I haven't degraded him. I haven't talked ugly to him.
Well, you don't wish any ill will on him. I mean, but
no,
you're not there to protect your own house. You gotta do what you gotta do. But you just hope he understands that.
And I hope he does. And I hope he doesn't come back around. Now that the police know he's a problem. Oh, so the dispatcher said, no, the deputy told Tammy, says somebody called about him right before you did. This dude was in the middle of the street peeling the tar off of the reflectors and eating it.
I don't know which is worse, that or the dirt bike.
So he was in his own world. And I said, he was doing what? And she said, yes, the The deputy said they got a call, said some crazy man's in the middle of the road peeling the paint or the tar or something off the road and eating it right in the middle of the road.
Golly.
And then a few weeks ago, his bicycle was laying in the middle of the road, and some dude swerved to miss the bicycle, didn't see him. He's laid on the side of the road. He almost hit this guy.
Oh, wow.
And he gets out, and he's like, dude, what's your problem? And the dude's like, honey, he's all high and jacked up. And I'm like, golly, man. I hope the guy gets help. At the end of the day, I hope he can get help. I hope he can get sober. He's got a lot of issues going on I'm not going to get into here, but,
Yeah.
I don't wish any ill will, but let me tell you something. I will protect my family at whatever cost I need to protect them.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you come over here high and you try to do something stupid, it is what it is. But I don't want that to happen. But like he had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, he's not. I almost want to say he's not responsible for what he's doing at the time, but that's not right. He's just not aware of what he's doing at the time.
But dude is really calm and laid back.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't give the police any trouble at all. Sat there, talked to him, said, yep, I smoked crystal meth this morning. They said, okay, well, you're coming with us,
It's amazing the things that people admit to the police. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk to them. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I mean,
but unfortunately, he was suspected of committing a crime because he was the only dude out there. And he's got you remember the rat tails, like you'd be bald headed and you had a rat tail?
Yeah.
Well, his isn't in the back of his head. His is up halfway the back of his head and behind his left ear. Just sticking out the side right here. Just sticking out. And I was like, dude, I think your barber might have been on that mess.
Yeah. Were y'all smoking together when you got that haircut? Because
yes,
he did it and you said okay. I mean,
we had a little excitement. It was something else, but hopefully he gets right and he can be a productive member of society.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a little bone I need to pick with you now that I think about it.
All right, let's hear it.
I do.
Because I don't feel threatened because you can't hurt me through the computer.
So, one of the reasons why I feel like I didn't get a whole lot done this week is because I feel like I'm constantly changing the daggone blade on my stupid table saw now.
I don't think you had 80 hours in changing your blade.
I think I had 15. But boy, let me tell you something. It'll make you rethink your order of operations.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're like, oh, I just changed this blade. God, dang it! I don't want to cut that piece of poplar right now.
I've been there.
You're like, but I need the poplar. I got to rip the poplar down. Well, now you got to change the blade back out.
You can cheat. Don't be afraid to cheat a little bit.
I know. It feels like one piece, but no, I am trying to be legit. I don't know if you saw what I posted. So I am, there's a couple of things that I do have true fears in this world. A garbage disposal is one of them. I will not stick my hand in the hole of a garbage disposal. Knives, I do not like. I'd rather be shot than stabbed. I don't. Okay. And my wife can chase me with a curling iron, and I will run as far as I need to get out of range of the curling iron, because there's something about being burned that just doesn't sound good either. I don't know why. I have no.
Those are legitimate.
A little irrational maybe on the curling iron, but it seems legitimate in my world. But sticking my hand down in that table saw is about like trying to get me to stick my hand down in the sink drain. Like I just. When I feel that blade touch this area right here, I'm like, do you realize, like, if just a power surge somehow hits this, I'm dead. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I know that's not how it works, but in my mind, I can't rationalize it.
Yeah.
Well, but so with this new power setup, I can't reach the plug. Like, I would have to climb to reach the plug every time. So I've made a post, because I don't know if a lot of people know that this is an option, or if they've even looked on their saw to see if it's something they can do. But at least on the Grizzly came with a lock that you can stick through the power switch that keeps it from being engaged when you don't want to. It's kind of a lockout tag out. If you've ever been in kind of in an industrial setting, you've heard that phrase. You would probably know what that is. But now I don't like actually lock the padlock, and I'm not that.
Yeah.
I'm not that over, but I keep that lock hanging on the hook with my wrenches to remind me to slide it through. I'm like, it takes a second and a half to slide it through that switch, and it keeps me from, should I bump it or, something. It just makes me feel a lot better since I can't unplug it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have an irrational fear of saw blades, but
Well, how about this? How about we can you could put a plug on it, but let's be honest. Sitting there, walking behind it, digging through the sawdust, unplugging it, that's to be 100% safe. You need to disconnect the power.
right.
That switch. Now, the chances of a power surge turning it on, because you have what's called a momentary contact in there. You have a motor starter. It's not necessarily just an on-off switch. There's an actual magnetic starter in there.
Right.
So the contacts are probably about at least 3/4 of an inch apart. So it would take an extreme amount of voltage to jump across that arc.
Right.
But there is something you can do. You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot, Electric Supply, whatever, and just get a disconnect. All right. So it can be like what you use outside on your air conditioner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
With a handle.
Yeah.
So you can simply reach under the saw, slap the handle down, and that is a physical power disconnect.
Right.
Where no amount of arcing is going to go through that you ever have to worry about.
Yeah.
And it's on and off. It's not a bunch of plugging and unplugging and all. And it's made to be able to turn, like a breaker. You don't want to go turn the breaker off every time you change the blade.
Yeah, they weaken.
You're going to wear your breaker out.
Yeah, they weaken.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to completely get rid of any of that without having to worry about the plug, you can actually go buy, and they're fairly inexpensive.
Yeah.
It has a handle on the side. And you can put a disconnect right on the side of your saw, and that'll solve it. I'm not bragging, but the SawStop has one built in, and it's got flesh sensing technology.
So it's got a disconnect in it?
Yep, it's got a disconnect on the side. It's a rotary disconnect.
Oh.
So you press the big red switch, and it goes, and then you can put a lock in it.
Okay.
I've never operated it. I turned it on once I got the saw. And then at the front of the saw, you have a power switch.
Right.
And then you also have a start and a stop button. So there's like 3 ways of turning that thing off.
And it's got an override on it too for killing the flesh sensing technology.
Yep. So anytime you touch the blade, even as long as the saw has power to it, like the main switch is turned on, not the motor switch, but the main power switch, the light on the front turns red every time you change the blade.
Yeah.
I turn mine off anyway to change the blade. But yeah, if you want an easy way to get around that, you can go get your disconnect, mount it right to the side of your case, boom. And I mean, it'll disconnect it where you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a piece. I get a peace of mind when I've got that switch tagged out, though. I mean, that does.
Yeah.
It does make me feel fuzzy. Now on the dado saws, I reach over and I can reach the plug red. So I just the very few times I have to change the blade on those now, but I do unplug them. I don't know. It's just I get this super creepy feeling though when I stick my hand down in that saw. It's
because inertly, you have it in your brain to not touch that blade while it's on that saw.
Yeah, it just
like I don't like it either. I don't like touching it because as soon as your hand goes in there, you're like, ooh, man.
Oh, man.
It's like you have to fight yourself, to go in there. But that was.
But yeah,
that's one way to do it.
Yeah, it's affected my productivity though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like just every time I turn around, I'm having to take the stupid blade off. I had to put another nail in the wall so that I could keep my other blade hanging close by.
Boy.
So now I got a nail hanging out of the wall beside me, looking like John and Ricky's hobo shop up there. In this nice, classy, shop that I got that's got pine trees as timber supports and in it, I mean, some insulation.
Well, what you do if you don't want to change the blade, just go buy a combo blade. I mean, I don't know why you don't just do that.
Well, that's what I was doing, and you told me I was wrong.
Do you notice a difference in your cut quality?
Well, no. And here's the reason why. Is because I thought I had everything on this table saw dialed in, and I still got something out of dial. I am burning plywood now, and it's driving me nuts, and I can't figure out why. But what's weird is if you were burning plywood, which side do you think you would burn plywood on?
Typically, it would be the fence side.
Yeah, you would think so, right? Yeah, mine's not the fence side. I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
Well, don't think. Now, so you're running a riving knife?
No, I'm not right now.
Okay.
That's a factor I tried to eliminate.
I just about sent an entire order of 3/4 plywood back to the supplier because I could hardly cut it. It was binding so bad. Plywood.
Really?
You heard that right. Plywood was 3/4 it was pinching the blade, and it was horrible. You ever run a piece of lumber through your blade and just fighting it? That's how it was.
Yeah.
It was curling off the fence. I lost 1/8 of an inch on the back side of the table saw blade. That's how bad. I mean, it was horrible. It was bad. So don't discount that plywood is not closing back in on that blade on the back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I thought I had it dialed, and then I adjusted the fence like we talked about last week. I made that little dial, checked it. It's square and
sliding better.
And now it slides better, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, part of me wants to just put that thing in the corner and bring my rigid back out because I didn't have these kind of problems. I couldn't cross cut, but I could sure enough run a piece through there straight and easy. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy how something can be.
The only thing I know to check now is now that I'm going to check tomorrow morning. I got a few hours because I don't want to talk about this customer, but just don't want to wake her children up so that I can work at a decent time. I'm going to lose 2.5 hours of productivity tomorrow.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah. I mean, they're like 4. It's not like we're talking about like kids, but anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm going to check to see. I'm actually going to check or double check to make sure that the blade itself, the motor is not out of square like during shipping. I say that I've checked it, but I'm going to double check it.
Yeah, and you check that on your miter gauge,
right?
On your miter slot. Yeah,
I'm going to check that tomorrow. Or double check.
Hopefully they made it easy where if you do have to change it, it's not a
I'm sure I'll have to take the whole thing apart again. I'm sure. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hate that, man, because if you get one of them jokers tuned up, they ain't nothing that can beat it.
Yeah.
A good table saw, no matter who makes it.
Yeah, I'll get it. I don't know.
But I feel your pain, man. That frustration of just not being able to.
Yeah.
You just want it to work.
And I'm producing, and it's not affecting the quality of the work, so to speak. It's more just every time I'm like, why is it doing that? Like, what's going on? Like, and then I'll spend like 3 or 4 minutes tinkering with it in between, like double checking, like, is something, what is something going on,
You might need to invest in a caliber that's designed to go in your miter slot.
Yeah, I might.
And you can shoot it out and touch the back of the blade and rotate the blade, shoot it out, touch the front of the blade. I mean, if you really want to get it dialed in, man, that's yeah, you got to pay for it. But think of all the equipment you have with a miter gauge, with a miter slot on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of people do that, but,
that also I wanted to talk to you kind of legitimately. That was kind of a funny segue, but I am trying to change the blades more. But one of the things that kind of came across my mind this week was shot pace. It almost never fails that I can't get in a good pace, or when I get into a good pace, it's time to leave, or it's like at the end of you know what I'm saying, like you're trying to get a project going. And like you just can't get the pace. Seems like you can't get everything together, and then you finally start to clickety clack down the tracks, and it's like, all right, you're done, or it's time to go home,
Yeah.
Because I was working yesterday, and we were going to dinner with some family, and man, everything was just trucking. Like I was moving, and then like I just had to put the brakes on because I had a stop dead time that I had to leave. versus normally you can, 'cause since, we own our shops and we can, we set our own hours, you could just keep trucking it to the night or if you wanted to, while things were going good. But I had to hit that stop date and it just locked down.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, sucks.
Yeah. We actually, I think Trey and I kind of talked about having a daily goal. And because, I know what my maximum amount of cabinets I have assembled and massed in one day is. But then there's so many variables, dude.
Yeah.
Where, you can't just say I can build 20 cabinets in a day. You can't do that every day because an island's going to take way longer than a single opening vanity.
Yeah.
You know. So we decided kind of not to go that route. But we'll say we need to have all these cabinets assembled in 3 days. So we're blocking off larger amounts of time, so we don't feel rushed. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Now a lot of times that happens to us in the finished department.
Yeah.
Right. We do all our testing and we lay down some paint. Humidity looks good. Let's go. And it never fails, man. After that second coat of primer or whatever it is. Now, all of a sudden, you're running. Mm-hmm. You got runs in it, or you got dirt, or somebody missed a nail hole, or whatever it is, and you're just like, golly, man, we need to go. We need to go. But, yeah, and it's hard because there's so many variables in it. Like you said, we don't build the same thing every day.
Right.
A lot of times we use the same process, but we don't build the same things every day. Now, it's kind of on that note, there's an older gentleman that likes to come visit the shop, and he's been bringing up this medicine cabinet for 3 years that he's going to build and put in his kitchen. All right? And so he came over. He's like, I still ain't built that medicine cabinet, man. And he asked for scrap wood. If you have any scrap wood, man, I want to make it. I was like, okay, we'll go look. Well, I'll come back. I'll come back and get the scrap wood, And then he's like, well, do you have any scrap wood? I'm like, yeah, go get some. Well, I'll come back. So I was sick and tired of hearing about this stupid medicine cabinet. And he came in yesterday, sitting in the office, and he brings up the medicine cabinet. And I just pull up Pro 100. And I was like, what size do you want it to be? He's like, I don't know, like 30 inches wide, 28 inches tall. I said, okay, how deep? Like 5 inches total depth. He's like, yeah, that'd be fine. Well, I just drug an overhead in, made it 28 tall, 30 wide, 5 inches deep. Boom. I printed out a cut list, printed out a drawing. I said, will that work for you? He goes, yeah. He said, well, I'll tell you what, man, if you can cut the parts out, I'll build it. I said, all right, fine. So Trey was over here visiting, right? We wound up fixing the lawnmower, and now he's over there cutting parts, and everything on a Saturday.
Again, we're taking applications for a woman for Trey. If anybody wants to apply for the position,
yeah. He called me. He's like,
minimum requirements are very low.
Very low requirements.
Just you need to go to chicken auctions and
work on the truck, and not tell him where he can be and where he can't be, what time to be home. Other than that,
bait your own hook.
That's right.
Offcuts at styleboyz.com.
Accepting applications. But anyway, so he goes down there. He's like, dude, I'm gonna knock it. You think about it, it's 5 inches wide, right? So your parts are narrow. So I was like, don't pay attention to grain direction. The man's gonna paint it. 10 minutes later, after he got done cutting it, I had the whole thing assembled. I cut him out 2 plywood doors. I took him to the back. I showed him the hinge machine. He said, that's the wildest thing I've ever seen. I said, yeah, see it, hung the doors on it. I said, you want knobs or handles? He was like, well, I think knobs. I was like, all right, come here. I said, you like these knobs? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, fine. I went down there. I said, where you want them? He's like, right here. I measured, popped the holes, put the knobs on. I said, where you want it in your truck? And I went and put it out there in his truck, He's like, well, how much I owe you? I said, no, we ain't going down that road.
Just don't talk about this daggone medicine cabinet no more.
We'd be upside out of scrap wood, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there's $10 worth of plywood in it. And 4 hinges.
So you probably got more in the hinges than the knobs than you do anything.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm not worried about it, man. I'm sick of hearing about you going to build this medicine cabinet one day. And so he was like, well, I got to pay you. I ain't no way I'm coming down here and having you. I said, look, if you pay me, that means I have to write you out a legal contract. I have to write you out a proposal. Now we've got tax information I've got to get. I've got to get your email. We got to have corresponding emails. I got to send you drawings. You have to prove. And I just made up all the stuff we had to do. And he was like, well, how about I just give you some cash? I said, same thing. We got to go through all that. It becomes a legal transaction at that point. Let me do this. Let me build this box. It's built. It's in your truck. I didn't want any money. I would have told you how much it was before I started if I wanted any money. Have a good day. Go home. Have a good day. So,
Go
you know,
paint.
and of course he was like, he was really, you know, I don't know. He looked like he was about to cry after I told him. Because, I mean, he don't have any money.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The man's not, he lives in a trailer, not hating on trailers, but I'm just saying, he tells me this stuff. He tells me he's on a fixed income. He tells me that he'd like to fix his place up. He can't afford it. But there's something a lot of people don't know. I had a metal wagon that the kids busted the handle off of. Well, he's been a welder his whole life. I was telling him about it. He said, put it on the back of my truck. 2 hours later, he comes back. He put a big plate on it. He welded it. Didn't charge me.
Yeah.
And that was 2 or 3 years ago. So just because you see somebody doing something good for somebody else, don't assume they just have money to give away.
Yeah.
They don't care. You know, you never know what the backstory is on something.
Yeah.
You know, but I did want him to shut up about that stupid medicine. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, dude, you got it. Just go home and leave me alone about it now.
Yeah.
You know, leave me alone.
Just go paint it.
But the whole point of that story is we were in the groove, man. For whatever reason, there was no mistakes. We cut it out 10 minutes. It was ready to go. Doors hung, hardware's on. It's ready to go. But then there's some days in the shop, dude, it's like we're cutting wrong.
It takes 3 hours. It's the same box.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, why did I cut that? Why did I miter the wrong side? I mean, stupid stuff that you do all the time.
Yeah.
It just, you can't seem to get in that groove, man. It's just you can't get traction. You're spinning all day long.
I told you about that one day. I put the same face frame on a cabinet 3 times in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I quit. I'm going home. I don't know. I don't.
Sometimes you have to do that, man. I was frustrated that night the trash pullout came in. I was tired.
Yeah.
It was 8:30, man. I was tired and ready to go home. We had to install the next day, right? I'm like, dude, I need to get in bed. And I looked, and I was punching hardware holes because I like to do that in the shop.
Yeah.
So I'm punching all these hardware holes, and I look, and it was a highly technical thing. Typically, we do a half overlay. Not to get too technical, but if you have 2 doors coming together with an eighth inch gap, and you have 2 drawers above it, they have an 1/8 inch gap versus our regular 1/2 inch gap. So I tell Trey, here's how we put fronts on, right? You put the jig on the side, you put a jig on the bottom, you put your front on, touch the jig, screw it on. So he did that, not realizing that there was not supposed to be a 1/2 inch gap there. It was supposed to be an 1/8 of an inch gap. So I go through and I pop hardware holes in the front of that drawer front. And then I noticed that the drawer front's got to come over, you know, another 1/4 inch. And so I was just like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to do that. And I wasn't mad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like moving the drawer front. I mean, that's a very common, you put hundreds of drawer fronts on using these 2 jigs. You can't expect somebody to be locked in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On every one of them. And it wasn't a big deal. I get to the job site, I put the clamp on there, you know, I move it over and re-screw it and it's done. But, you know, I knew that if I stayed there and something else happened.
But you didn't have to like fill holes and re-drill hardware. Yeah.
No, didn't have to do that because the holes were correct in the drawer front.
The
drawer front was just in the wrong. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. So, you know, you have to know when to hang it up, man. And that's a battle for us. And I'm putting you in that basket because I know you go through it too.
Oh yeah.
You're stressed. You got to hurry up. You got to get something done. But there comes a point where you can really start to go backwards if you try to push through it too long.
Yeah.
You just need to go home.
Yeah, because you know one of the hardest things that I find in the shop to do is the right thing sometimes.
Yep.
And that seems like such a cop-out, but sometimes the hardest thing to do is to go, you know what, I need to go recut this. Because instead of going, I can make it work. or if I just do this, I can kind of work around. And really, the right answer is just to is to spend the 5 minutes to go recut the thing.
Yep.
Uh, but it seems like though that doing that right thing, when you fail to do it, boy, it just compounds.
Yeah.
You think you've got a fix, and then it's not. Like, I wish I could think of a better example right now off the top of my head, but I think you know what I mean. Like,
Well, it's just like if we staple a back on and then realize, like sometimes we'll do that and then realize we've got a partition in the wrong spot, right? And so we carefully remove staples, and you're not thinking about, hey, buddy, once you move that partition, then all those staple holes are going to be right in the back of that cabinet, and the customer's going to see that.
Right.
I've done that, and I spent an hour taking the back off.
yeah,
And pulling staples out gingerly, trying not to destroy the plywood. You go to put it back on, and you're like, you idiot. Did you not think the staples weren't going to be hidden?
right,
And in reality, I should have took a hammer, knocked the old one off, cut a new one, put it on, and I'd have been done in a quarter of the time.
right,
So sometimes, that old saying that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right?
yeah,
So sometimes you just kind of have to back up and say, is it really worth going through all this trouble?
yeah,
It's time and materials, right? Your most valuable asset in anything you do is time. So, you got to scrap a $5 piece of plywood, but you saved, $50 in labor.
yeah.
Sometimes you just have to kind of stop. But then your brain is just like, no, man, we can fix it. Dude, don't freak out. We can fix it.
Right. That's the one thing I like about wood is it's really hard to find something you can't fix. Um, it's just one of.
Sorry, I had to move.
Sorry. It's just one of those things. Like, it's a relatively easy medium, but that you can find a way to fix it. But it's also so exact at the same time. Like,
Yep.
it also doesn't have it shows every flaw. And so it's kind of on that. I wanted to ask you, when you're talking about painting doors, because this is the one pet peeve, and I don't think any of my finishers listen to this, but if they do, I'm sorry. But this is a pet peeve of mine that you do, and I want you to stop it. But, so when I build a door, like, how do I word it? How do I put this? So when a door is built, I sand it, and I fill, and everything. And I go through it, I try to go through it pretty meticulously, and I round my edges, and I come back and I 220 all the edges after I, run the round over on the router, and, because I know square edges don't take paint very well. So, a little bit of a round over helps, I mean, we run like a 16th inch round over, over all the doors. And then, so I put all this love and work into this door, right? And then I put it in, then the finisher gets it. And then I come back, I see it either putting on hardware, or I get the door from the finisher and I end up putting it back on. And I'll see like a spot where like there was a dent, that I couldn't see. Like the primer makes things pop. Like, it makes mistakes.
Amen.
It makes mistakes show up. And it's like,
Yep.
I know it's not your job to fix them because I'm the builder and you're the finisher. But we gotta figure out some way to bridge this gap, because you're putting up a crappy looking door, and it's it's making both of us look bad, and it's like, but I know it's different for you because you if you did it, you're like, oh, hey, I see this, I'm also the builder, I can go and I can do a fill on it real quick. But sometimes I can't get these guys to go back and do a fill on them, and it's just like, man, like, you can't just say, well, this is the door I was given, because I'm giving you the best thing I can, but that that I can't see it all.
Right. You're not going to, on raw wood, it's impossible to see every defect, every little dent. And I know the dent you're talking about, dude.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like a long one where something drug across it or something, and it's got a little snake in it. We call them snakes. And you can't see that, but man, when you put that white primer on there,
boy,
dude, it's going to tell on you, man. Yep,
right here,
it's going to tell
right
on
here.
you. So, and we even call it first fill and second fill.
Yeah.
So after we take doors or cabinets, really, because we don't fill doors, they get primed and then we fill them. So we can't miss anything on our end on the doors, right? But on the cabinets, man, you sit all day and sand that thing, and we even do pencil marks on it. We sand the pencil marks off. Who knows what happens when they take the cabinet to the middle room or to the paint shop? They may bump it into another cabinet, don't realize it.
And it don't take much. I mean,
no, it don't.
You know, and so I mean, give me a little bit of grace as the builder. It doesn't take much to bump this thing, and we've made a mark now. Like,
yep. But there's always second fill. You lay that first coat of primer on, and you see all kinds of stuff.
Well, see, what's frustrating is like on the cabinet itself, they'll do that. But on the doors, we're not doing that. And it's like, the doors show the most. Like, you see the door more than you see the face. Like, why? Yep. Let's tune these bad boys up, you know? And it's like, but I'm just to the point where I can't think of anything else to do as the builder. I mean, I'm sanding, I'm feeling, I'm up to 220 on these things, you know? I mean, but by the time I move them, then he moves them. I need a little bit of help.
And there are ways that you can see the defects before it goes to him in the raw wood.
Yeah.
So Surf Prep makes a light, and it's what you need is you have to have a light that rakes across, right?
Like a raking light.
Yeah, but don't buy the Surf Prep one. I love Surf Prep. I am pro Surf Prep. I'm on Team Surf Prep. I love that company. I'm not giving you $400 for this off-road light. You've seen the light bars on these trucks, right? That's all it is. So you can go to Harbor Freight and get one for $50.
Yeah.
That's just as bright, and lay it at a low angle. The problem is, like you said, during transport, the painter or whoever takes a door off and leans it against a piece of molding, a door trim or whatever, and now you have a little dent.
Yeah.
So, and then it becomes, well, no, they were right. Well, no, it wasn't, because I was careful with it, you know, and you go back and forth. The bottom line is the painter has to build something into his process where he's guaranteeing you that there's no dents, there's no dings, there's nothing missing, you know. And beyond, it kind of seems like it needs to be that's on the painter.
Yeah.
And when he starts calling you all the time saying, hey, you missed another one of these, if it's obvious that it came from your shop, address it. But the little things or the dents or the dings, I mean, he's there, dude.
Yeah.
What's it going to take to put Bondo in it or little Durhams or whatever it is, sand it real quick and move on about the day?
See, like
his name's on it unless yours
my
is.
rails and styles, like I've Durhams, all those on every door, every drawer, whether it needs it or not, because I can't.
Us too.
I can't necessarily tell, so I do it on every one of them, and so I feel like I'm losing time because I'm probably feeling stuff I don't need to.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to be ahead of him. Like I'm trying to give him an easy product. Like I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure. Like, I mean, I'm also the one that I'm the only one of the builders that I know of that I caulk everything to the wall. Like normally the finisher does that, and I'm trying to caulk as much as I can. Like I'm trying to take as much off of his plate that I can do. Yeah. In my mind, I'm like, well, that will give him time to help me, you know, or he'll see that I'm trying to be on his team, so he'll try to be back on my, you know. And
that's it.
It's like, man, I guess we're just gonna have a sit down and say, look, together we're kind of looking bad. You know, at the end of the day, nobody's sorting out who did what, you know. I mean, and I like this guy a lot. I like him. We get along well, you know. I mean, I don't think there's anything going on or anything. I just, for some reason, I don't know if he's overworked. I don't know if he's just got so much work that doors are just getting churned out, you know, not great.
I think it's just going to come down to attention to detail kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and the finisher dude, he should see it. I mean, let's be honest. That's kind of his job, not to fix anything you send him, but at least to see anything. Like he should be aware. Because think about it, you're watching that brush or roller every square inch. Same thing with us spraying.
Yeah,
I'm watching that spray hit that door. So if it goes across a nail hole that wasn't filled, if it goes across a gap that wasn't filled, I immediately see it. You know, we're not just.
Well, and you're also getting that shadow. You're getting a hole or a dent shadow against that white, and it just
Yep.
it glares,
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it's
I would like a
unfortunate.
phone call, a what the hell phone call.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that. At least I know he's caring that it's what it's coming out looking like, you
yep,
know.
yeah.
But
Unfortunately, man, that's just kind of it's a little bit of a trade off.
yeah,
Now, what if you primed them in your shop? What if you primed everything?
yeah, I mean, it's almost gotten to the point where I've thought about it. Like at least the
Hmm.
doors and the doors. Like I'll just do my own priming
Yeah,
and send them prime. But wouldn't that look weird or seem weird? I don't know.
I mean, until he gets
I
it
just don't
painted,
have the room
it's going
for
to be.
it.
But
I just don't have the room. I just don't have the room
right,
to do it right.
yeah, it's going to
You
change.
know.
It's definitely going to change everything you do in your
Yeah.
shop.
And I'm not getting paid for that
Right.
because we don't charge for that. So you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I would be taking on an expense at my own detriment just to put out a better. Which, I mean, I'm almost willing to do it to put out a better product. That's how
Right.
that's kind of where I'm at on wanting to put out a good product. But yeah, it's got to be this balance. But
Yeah. Well, keep me updated on that. I'd like to see.
yeah, we don't have to work on it.
Maybe.
I think maybe just like, hey, just me and him and the other guy, just like go get some beers and let's just talk.
Yeah. And what about what are the chances that you can show up on paint day?
I've tried to do that. Well, I haven't actually tried. I wanted to do that for a while. The problem is now is that he's got an assistant, so I think that would probably be too many bodies in the same place for most
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah,
You know what I'm
people are
saying?
living in there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe when he's at the shop, maybe when he's just doing doors and drawer faces, maybe at the shop one day, and kind of get an understanding from there. The real problem that I've had is, to be honest with you, is finding that availability in my schedule to be gone from my shop and lose a production day. But it's almost like one of those things where you got to make the investment. That
Yep.
you're just going to have to make that time investment to be able to do a better product.
Yep.
Right.
Sometimes that's what it comes down to. Now, talk to me about pallet jack certification.
I forgot that was on there. Cross off the waiting game because I have honestly no clue what I meant when I wrote
Don't
that.
cross that off.
Yeah, I don't know what I wrote. I don't know why I wrote it though.
You didn't.
Oh, you wrote that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had it written on my notes, and I've been sitting here trying to figure out why in the heck I wrote that the whole time. Oh, well, no wonder.
Man said, just cross off the waiting game. I'm like, no, don't cross it off.
No wonder. All right, this is, and I thought about Tommy in this. Okay,
All right.
because I know he's pallet jack certified, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm at Lowe's. I need a length of black pipe cut and rethreaded. All right. So the first part of this is that, long story short, after I repair the Lowe's pipe threader and cutter, I get my
Yeah, I remember that.
I get my pipe cut and rethreaded. But in the process of the guy trying to fix it, I hear this noise. I'm like, what in God's name is that? And I look, and it's this kid, 18, 19 years old, probably just barely legal enough to work there. There is a pallet on the floor with a few items on it, and he's got one of those motorized pallet jacks, not like a ride-on or anything, but just the battery-powered pallet jacks,
Yeah.
and he is pushing the pallet through the store. It's not on the jack at all. At all. It is like a train car going through Lowe's. Like, I mean,
What in the world?
and on top of that, he passes like 7 other employees at the time, and nobody says, "Hey, man, I don't think that's how that works." Like,
Yeah.
I was just bewildered, I was like, "Oh my God, are you serious right now?" I mean, it's just, but just pushing like. So I go up to the register and I refuse to use self checkout at Lowe's because every time I go to
Amen.
the self checkout counter, the person who's running the counter is sitting on a stool. I'm
Yep.
like, you could at least get up and offer to check me out. So I go down to the pro desk, and I kind of like going down there because it's usually the same people.
Yeah.
And so you kind of get a little bit better interaction. Well, and hey, Lowe's, quit putting your slow cashiers at the pro desk.
Right. We got to go, man.
The pro desk is for people who know what they're doing. They've been in the store 150 times. We know where everything is. We don't need any assistance. I can work. I was there yesterday, and the guy's like, I was like, yes, I have a military discount. And he goes, oh, I need your phone number, please. And I was like, well, you're going to need to hit that button there first and check military program and hit enter, and then you can put my phone number in. You're not to where you can even put my phone number in yet. You know,
Telling him how to do his job.
it's going to be a complete waste of my breath to tell you my phone number at this point in time. I can see the screen. I know the order of operations here. Like, I feel like I could come get a night shift job and not have to be trained. But
there's no in between there.
It's right. But I'm at the
desk. They either know what they're doing or they don't.
And she goes, did you find everything you were looking for? And I said, yeah. I said, it's been quite an interesting journey here at Lowe's. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I've been here for an hour and 40 minutes. And she's like, this is all you have? Like, I had 3 things. And I had that pipe, you know, and like a couple of fittings. And she's like, this is all you have? I said, yeah. It's been interesting. I said, I did get to watch a guy scoot a pallet from one end of the store to the other, though, with a pallet jack. And she's like, what do you mean? And so I explained to her, and she's like, are you, she's like, was it a young guy? I said, it was. She said, oh God, these young guys, like, it's killing me.
Look, that's why we have these. That's why we have, I got one right here. This is Joseph's. It's official, man. Look at that.
Yeah, I feel like he would do a better job than this guy did.
He got it on October the 6th of 2022, and they're only good for a year.
Oh, you got to relearn how to operate a pallet jack every year.
Yep, you got to be recertified every year.
Is that for a battery-powered one? Can they use a motorized one?
No, this is a hand pump.
Hand pump. Oh, you got to have. Yes.
Do you have a pallet jack in your shop?
No.
I hate myself for not getting one 5 years ago.
Really?
I mean, I can't believe I'm not. Like, how? Why did you not just go get one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not something you ever think about you really need.
Yeah.
But, dude, we use that sucker all the time. All the time.
I couldn't.
When we had to fix the lawnmower, I needed a jack. And I just ran it under the transmission in the back and pumped it up. And I got up under there and checked the wires.
Yeah.
And we use them, you know. And I got mine from Harbor Freight. Of course, they're not cheap.
Yeah. I can't
you know,
think of a reason why I'd use one.
Yeah, well, you know, we get the door orders in on pallets, and they're some of them jokers are 600 pounds, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we need something. So that's originally why I got it.
Yeah.
But now, like, if a paint order comes in, we'll put 5-gallon buckets of paint on both legs and roll it to the back. Because, you know, a dolly is good.
Yeah.
I tell you what else, too. If you don't have one of these, you need to get an old grocery cart.
Yeah, I don't have one of those.
Dude, that thing, I don't know how in the world we get along without it. It's just...
I thought about you saying that the other day.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Lowe's. I don't know, man. Lowe's and Home Depot, it's like you guys are supposed to be professional.
Yeah.
And what you need to do is find the old head that's got the camo name tag because he's typically a veteran.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like 75 and he does this crap to have something to do.
Yeah.
And, man, they typically can tell you something.
Yeah, they usually did something in the real world that was applicable to what section they're in.
Yep.
Yeah, when I was doing all that 240 wiring, I found a guy in there, and I was like, me and old Marty were friends. I was like, hey.
Yeah.
I mean.
And don't be afraid to ask the guy. Like, a lot of times there'll be a contractor in there.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there with dirty pants on, you know, mud all over him, and he's standing on the electrical aisle. And you could go in there and be like, hey, man, I need a 30-amp disconnect.
Yeah.
Like, that's a knife disconnect,
yeah.
You know? He'll be like, oh, yeah, that's them. Yeah, that's them right there. Like, cool, thanks.
If you kind of halfway know what you're talking about, they'll help you, you know? Like, if you're
I'm talking about, like, just the dude, the other customer.
Yeah, but if you're just blindly asking, like, a contractor, don't do that. But, like, if you kind of have an idea, they'll be like, oh, yeah, you kind of know. You just need a little guidance. You don't need a full tutorial.
Right.
You know.
Yep. So that was the waiting game.
Yeah. So tell me what the waiting game was. I'm just steady
checking these things off. We got this huge job coming up, right? The biggest job I've ever quoted. Almost twice as much money as I've ever done on a job. So I blocked off time. Yes, I blocked off time, and I said, okay. I told I told Frank, I said, listen, we're going to get this job done. We're ready to start on yours. He said, all right. And I said, we kind of need to look at this half down situation because the half down on this job is like a regular job. He said, yeah. He said, let me, give me about a week. Let me move some money around because, hey, here's something a lot of people don't know. That bank doesn't give you money for cabinets until after they're put in.
Yep.
So that half down comes from the actual builder, like out of his business account. And if you do a $10,000 job, it's $5,000 he pulls out and gives to me to go buy materials. And so I had a conversation with him a while back
And
when I found that out.
You're just one trade that's needing half down.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Because roofers, nothing. Some banks do give half down on cabinets, like the one in Greenville. The bank that we deal with, they'll give you half down for cabinetry because they know it's a big money thing, and it's just a lot of variables in there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I told him, I said, don't ever put yourself in a bind. I can put this stuff on credit. That's just my policy is to get half down. You're talking half down $23,000 on this job. And he's like, well, I have to move some money around to get it. And I said, well, don't put yourself out. Let's give me what you can to try to take a little bit of burden off me.
Yeah.
But, we don't have to. He's like, no, man, it's no problem. No problem. I'll have it. I just got to move some stuff around and get it. And I said, okay. Then we come to the customer. So none of this is related at all to the builder.
Okay.
Right? So I do the drawings. I send them in. I'm like, man, buddy, we're fixing to get going on this thing. Like, let's go. Because he's asking me, hey, how's the door plant looking? They up to par? I'm like, yep. He said, okay, are you having problems getting materials in? I'm like, nope. He goes, okay, all right, because when it's your turn, you need to be ready. Yes, sir. I blocked off time 2 weeks ago almost.
No.
To do this job. Big money job. Hey, big money job.
It's turning into a big loser job, though.
And I was like, hey, bud, you heard anything on them drawings? He's like, no. Let me call them. We have an angled wall in the kitchen, which is very aggravating to draw up and do. Once you get it, it's like, okay, it's there. Don't touch it. Right. The cut list. Don't move anything. It was it was angle cabinet, then sink base, then dishwasher, then drawer stack, then fridge, right? So you're looking at the wall left to right. Cabinet, sink, dishwasher, cabinet, fridge. He said, all right. A couple minor changes, nothing big. He said, but on the sink wall, she wants to slam the dishwasher against the refrigerator. She wants to move the sink. The sink was in the center of the window. He says she don't want the sink there. She wants to sink all the way over. So now it's going to be the fridge, then right beside it the dishwasher, then right beside that the sink, and then the rest of the cabinetry goes to the corner. Well, guess what? That completely changes every cabinet on that wall.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'll have to redraw that up. And then he goes, also she wants to know, like, the top view of the countertop, kind of how big everything's going to be. And so I said, okay, well, I can send you that. So I kind of sent him basically from the corner of the wall to where the cabinet starts, the little triangles that you wind up with in the back. He wanted the size of all those. She did. And I had to totally redraw that whole entire wall, man. And I didn't move anything. Like the style that was in the corner on the angle cabinet never moved. But I would take the parts of the cabinet, move them, shift them around. I would add face frame pieces, and I basically did everything there I didn't delete those cabinets and start over. That
Gotcha.
left style and that vertical partition on the left, it never changed. And that's, another beauty of the program that I have is you can leave it there and you can go internal on that thing and just make all your changes, and next thing you know, you're done. So I sent that to him, and there was a few other things. Let me pull up my notes on that, and I can tell you what it was. Somehow or another, everybody missed a vanity He said there was 2 small vanities downstairs, so I had to add one of those. Now she wants a trash pullout, and she told. Remember, these are some more people that are not from here.
Right.
They're from another country.
Right.
And they were like anti-trash pullout. Well, now they want one, so I had to modify cabinets for that. They wanted to move the dishwasher, move the sink, and all that kind of stuff. And then the overheads in the kitchen, you have the angled wall, and then you have a little bit of space, and then you have the window.
Right.
Well, that little bit of space gets really small once you put an angled overhead up there. So it wasn't big enough to put a real overhead with a real door. The door would be like 3 inches wide.
Okay.
So now we have a wider gap than normal on either side of the window. And he was like, well, she's asking about that. And I said, well, here's why. You got a lot of geometry going on. So basically, if we ran those cabinets to the window like we usually do, her door would be tiny. So in my opinion, it looks better to not put a cabinet up there, just kind of leave them out. I said, but if she wants a tiny door, absolutely, we'll give it to her. Or some kind of corner shelves or some kind of floating shelves, small shelves or something up there. So anyway, this has been going on last week. Like, she's just not involved. She's not making decisions. She's not approving things, And here we are.
So it's
like
not
Monday.
It's not that she's not making up her mind. She's just kind of not participating.
Well, yeah. By not making up her mind, it's like, I was like, "Have you heard anything?" And he's like, "No, hadn't heard anything."
But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between like a customer who's like, they can't give you an affirmative answer, but they're at least talking, and there's some conversation. There's movement on it, versus the silence, and you're like,
yeah,
what is the deal?
Yeah, and it came to a point. I asked him, I was like, "Who's holding this up?" And he was like, "Well, they're slow on the trigger, but once they make their mind up, it's set." But you got to send them drawings, and then they got to go over it, and then they have to. And she's paying very close attention to the drawings, which is a good thing for us because that's telling me at least she's looking at every square inch. She's thinking about things. But I was like, man, we kind of need to get going on these.
Well, I wonder, in this culture that this particular family is from, it's a lot of times that I have seen that there are multiple generations living in one house.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if there are multiple opinions that have to get factored other than just the quote unquote homeowner. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those other generations that are living in the home, are they getting a say so as well? And is that bogging up the system?
I think the fact that they're there is bogging up the system, but I don't think they get a say-so. I think it's because what it is, it's the grandmother, and it's the homeowner, and it's the homeowner's daughter. So it's 3 generations.
Okay.
And like I said, there's cultural differences there. They want things a certain way. They have like 2 kitchens. I think they use one kitchen for this. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of deciding factors. Mama's going to be living with us. She has this room and this bathroom and this and that. There's a little bit of a language barrier.
Right.
So what's happening is Jason can't just call the homeowner and be like, "Hey, what do you want right here? You good with that?" He's got to call the granddaughter because she's 100% on English, but she lives in Atlanta. So he's calling her. She's writing everything down. She's got to call her mama, who doesn't speak very much English. And they got to talk about what they want to do and decide. And then they got to call her and talk about it. And then they got to call the builder back and talk.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, I think there's a lot of factors in there that kind of get, in the way.
Right.
But, I'm like, okay, they're dragging this thing. I wanted to make a point to the builder where he understands that I'm waiting on them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want this. Well, you came and measured, a month ago. Like, what's the holdup? So I physically said, and I don't think he would ever do that, but I'm just saying, I physically told him, I said, "Hey, who's holding this up? Like, what's going on? We need to get rocking on this thing." He's like, "Yeah, I know, man, but they take their time once they, trying to figure something out. But once they figure it out, they don't make any changes. Once she says okay, He said, that's it. You go, and that's what you build.
Well, it's funny because I was actually talking to my wife on the way to dinner about this. I was like, it's because I've kind of got this weird, like I've got a build in the trailer that I wanted to drop tomorrow. I wanted to install it tomorrow. Called the customer on Friday to do the install. They're out of town till like the end of the week. Well, I had an install. I got build this week, and then I had an install on Friday. Like let's be just being honest, it's a good payday that I'm trying to hit.
Yep.
And this one's a really small payday, so I'd rather, so I thought I would get it cleared, but now it's kind of like, well, I need this one, and then I'll buckle you around. Then while we've been sitting here, I've gotten text messages that customer that was supposed to install on Friday has now made design changes that we got to circle back around. So that build's probably not starting tomorrow. Like, so I was telling my wife what is so frustrating about having your own business and being in this world is that you get everything lined up where like paydays are consistent and and money flows.
Bingo.
And you get 1 or 2 days, 2 or 3 times of delays, and man, it severely jacks things up. It's amazing how much that can shift. Those little spacers in there can shift things around, and that's what I was thinking. That's why I said now you're kind of at a money loss, whereas you've set aside time to build, and you can't really start another build because you got to do this build.
Yeah.
So your payday that you thought was going to be really good is actually diminishing.
Yeah.
In reality, because at the end of the year, you're going to look back at those non-productive days. That's kind of how I do. I look back at the non-productive days and I go, oh well, I had 30 days of non-productivity over the year. 7 of them I was on vacation, 2 of them we had a funeral, whatever. And I kind of look back because I kind of mark it. And you go, man, what do I do to avoid these 30 days next year? Because I don't know how you progress forward without trying to eliminate those. And those are going to be big blemishes on your calendar.
Oh yeah. Because that affects, unlike somebody who works a 9 to 5, if their job slows down, and if they're a big company, if you work for Walmart, right, and you work 40 hours a week. Walmart stock might have dropped by $1 billion, but you didn't feel any of that.
Right.
It didn't affect you as as compared to us. If we get slowed down by a customer for a week, that's a big deal. That puts your paycheck off a whole week.
Yeah.
And the funny part about it is I made a resolution a couple of months ago. My wife got on me and said, we need to tighten these jobs up, man. We need to get everything ordered at the beginning. And I said, I know it's on me. I owned it, because we got a lot of stuff going on. I'm not making excuses, but it's there's a lot of stuff to do. So I said, shoot, I'm going to get on it.
Yeah.
And remember when I did that builder's house?
Yeah.
That got held up a little bit, and those cabinets were done and in here for a week.
Yeah.
We're waiting on the painters to get done, and because they might have had a death in their family, they might have had a wreck. Somebody might have quit. You can't control that.
It is the construction world too.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why I hate new construction, because so many trades are hinging on other trades. Then that's just one reason why I hate it, and it's just a scheduling nightmare.
Yep. And so it's you just have to learn. Like I had to learn to kind of stay in the back pocket of the builders and say, hey, if you guys get pretty close, let me know.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we're at. But, and it's not the builder's fault. It's not anybody's fault. Like nobody's sitting at home with their feet up, holding the house up.
Right.
Because guess what? If the painter's a week late, his paycheck's a week late.
Yeah.
And if framers are a week late, their paycheck's late.
Everybody's trying to get paid. Everybody's trying to get paid.
Yep.
But
when I make the conscious decision to, all right, man, we're going to buckle down. We're going to have doors ordered day one. We're going to have materials ordered day one, hardware ordered day one. We're going to get on this thing and get it done, and it's working out really good. We're not having to wait. We don't have finished cabinets in here waiting on doors to come in, right? Last 2 jobs, we were able to set doors and drawer fronts on the job. Like, we added up the hours, and not counting transport, not counting loading and unloading cabinets, we've got 9 hours into a whole house install. That's setting cabinets, putting hardware on, putting scribe on, cleaning up, anchoring everything down, 100% done 9 hours.
That's good.
Right? That's pretty good because we were able to prep in the shop.
How many boxes do you think that would be?
There's 18.
18 boxes?
Yeah, it was 18 boxes. Nothing super complicated. It all went pretty easy. But anyway, it's like as soon as I get on the ball and I'm making Mitch do right, and I'm making Mitch order things on time and get things lined up, now for the first time ever, the painters are holding us up, or the framers, or the trim guys, or the floor, whoever it is,
30
and
minutes.
it's just frustrating. Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And that was, sometime, that was how long we were installing cabinetry.
Right.
Right. So that counts, any sort of standing around yakking, a couple of breaks, let's stop and drink something, so, but yeah, that's completely done. That's no trips back. We're done, We had Tommy so scared because you know how it is. If you set in an island, you got plumbing in there. These huge islands, 9 feet long. It takes 3 people to pick them up. Somebody's got to guide the plumbing and pipes and everything into the bottom.
2.5 in your case.
Yeah, 2.5. And so we had Tommy talked up on this island, and we were like, "Dude, I'm telling you right now, first thing we need to do, Trey, is set that island. It's going to be the longest cabinet we have to set, the hardest layout." Trey's like, "Man, I forgot about that island." I was like, "Yeah. As soon as we get there, we get the cabinets in, we need to get that island set." And I told Tommy, I said, "You're going to be held up for a while on that island." I said, "We're going to go ahead and set the kitchen, and then so we can, make sure the island's square with all the cabinetry and everything." So anyway, the whole trip there, we'd make little comments every 10, 20 minutes about it. And then we got the cabinets unloaded because I always put the island in the front of the trailer because it's the last thing to come off. And because I'm not going to trip over an island all day.
Right.
Well, little did Tommy know, this island had wheels on the bottom. So all we had to do was literally roll it in the kitchen and you're done, So anyway.
Oh, it didn't actually set? It was a rolling island?
She wanted it on wheels. Yep. So she's actually going to put it in another room. It's a 5-foot island. So she's going to put it in another room. And then when the kids come or somebody comes to visit, they're gonna bring it out and do food prep on it.
Nice.
So man, Tommy was so nervous about that island because I was like, "Dude, we still got to set the island," and it was like 5:30 at night, and I was like, "Crap, Trey, we still got to set that island." He's like, "Shoot, man, it's already 5:30," and I'm like, "I know, let's go." And Tommy's all nervous and everything, man, and we pulled the blanket off the island, and he sees the wheels on the bottom. He'd been nervous about it all day.
That's funny.
He could have shot me for that, but that was funny. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real thing. You can cross the waiting game off now, but
yeah. Yeah, trying to get rid of my note.
Oh man, I've really been hurting myself on that.
You're like, what was I thinking?
Well, dude, I was going to tell you just a funny tidbit. Take 2 minutes to tell you, but so I had to make a spacer for this ironing board that's going in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've done one of these or not, but yeah, but it mounts to the side of the cabinet, it swings over, and then it folds out.
No, I hadn't done one.
And well, it's really made for a frameless cabinet, technically. So, and this is on a face frame cabinet, so I had to make a spacer. So I did a 3/4 inch paint grade, then I took a piece of 1/4 inch UV and I laminated it to it, and then I'm just going to edge band it and then use that as a spacer to set it off to get flush. Well, I had an edge banding snafu. I ran last job, like I ended up with like this much edge banding left. Like I was almost completely, like and then I forgot to order more edge banding, and it's been a nightmare to order and and I finally got it in. So I was like, all right, I got up this morning, washed my wife's car, and I was like, I'm going to go to the shop real quick. I'm going to edge band this stupid spacer so I've got it in the morning and I'm done. I'm ready to go. Drive all the way to the shop, get out, walk up to the door, and pat myself down and go,
oh, no.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm going back home. I'll just edge band that sucker in the morning because I'm not getting my keys to the shop and then turn around and driving back. I was very frustrated with myself. I was like, I drove all the way out here. I mean, I say all the way, it's 12 miles, but Stile, drove there.
That's Greenville to Fort Deposit, though, if you think about it.
For no reason. Like, I wasn't able to do anything. I was like, you idiot. To come home to do, which I don't know if they show on camera. I don't know if you can tell how cut up my arm is or not.
Yeah, I see it.
To come home to do yard work. I was like, I would rather have stayed.
Yeah.
Because we had this
walk around the
crazy freeze in December. Like, I can't remember. We went from like 60 something down to like 12 in like a matter of hours. And it just destroyed landscaping around us. And our yard's pretty mature. So we had some pretty good sized bushes and shrubs and trees. And so basically, it's like everything is starting over. Like, is it there?
I think I hear him coming.
Toot, toot. I think I hear him. But like all the shrubs and everything, they're at the base, and you got 2 foot of dead stuff on top of them that's dead.
Oh, man. What a nightmare.
Had to cut all that out. Like the road is probably like almost the entire width of my house is just in the road is just lined with dead stuff. But it had to happen. Everybody said wait till Mother's Day to see what comes out. So we waited, to see what came back, before you pull anything up but it's gonna take it a year. It'll take it a year or two to recover. It's crazy. And
I remember that when that came in, and you could go outside and feel the temperature plummeting.
It was crazy.
It's crazy. We forgot. You know what we forgot?
What?
On that last install? Get there, man. Everything's, we got everything. Cause we left some stuff here on purpose because I knew, we're going to do everything in one day. Get there, and I was like, all right, Tommy, hand me a couple of wedges. He said, okay. He said, Trey, what'd you do to wedges? Trey's like, I didn't load wedges. I told you to load wedges. And of course, Tommy's like, no, you didn't. Trey's like, yeah, I did. I told you to get the wedges. And Tommy's like, I don't remember that. And I'm just sitting back there going,
doesn't matter. We don't have wedges.
Do this. Yeah, I'm not finna do this. We finna load up and go to the house. So I was like, so you're telling me we don't have wedges? I said, well, this is going to be interesting. Luckily, because I'm like somewhat of a slob on my trailer, I go out there and I look in the shelf, and I had like a whole box of wedges out there, all scattered in. So we had enough to do it. And a hat tip off to Sam, too. Man, this house was pretty tight.
Really?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of wedges we needed in this one, man. I mean, it was so nice, dude.
That's unusual.
So nice. Yep.
Do you use composite wedges or wood?
Yep.
Composites?
Breakaway composites.
Yeah. I want to switch to composites. I just haven't done it.
So, do you know what's called a crow's foot? So, in the automotive world, you may know this, but those little Christmas trees that hold panels in and stuff in the car, the little plastic buttons? Mm-hmm. Well, they have like the little mini crowbar that you slide under and it pop them up. Buy one. Buy one of those, and when you get your composite wedges and they're on the floor, you take the handle of that. I forget what it's like, a trim remover or something for a car.
No more trim removers is usually.
Yeah. It's just like a little bitty crowbar, a little bitty, forked. Anyway, we take the handle and we tap the wedge under the cabinet after it's screwed on and everything's set. I give it a couple of taps, and you slide that fork under there, and you go boop, and it pops it off dead even with the front of the toe kick.
Really?
Every time. Every time. The wooden wedges, how do you cut your wooden wedges off?
Oscillator.
Yep. And what do?
Well, they vibrate and move usually.
They vibrate and move.
Yeah.
Yep. I did that, man. I used to super glue them together. That's how bad it was. I would super glue the wooden wedges together, right?
Yeah.
I'd put a couple of drops, and I'd slide it under there. And then when you came back, at least they moved, because sometimes you got to double the wedge up.
Yeah.
And the top one it's like this.
Yeah.
For you, those of you on YouTube, this is what it's like to try to cut 2 wooden wedges.
Yeah, because an oscillator, all it does is vibrate essentially to get something to cut. And
that's it.
You can imagine how 2 things just laid on top of each other with some friction handle with a strong vibration.
Yep. So I swapped over to the composite ones. Moving right along. But yeah, the composite ones, they're like red. They're almost like a purple color.
Where do you get those from?
I actually get them from the local hardware store.
Really?
Yep, they buy them by the case and they put them in the back. And whenever I run low, I go get a whole case up. They're a little pricey. They're a quarter a piece.
Okay.
But there again, dude, you just go in there and you slide that crow's foot. We call it crow's foot. You slide the crow's foot under there, you pop up on it, and it busts off even with a toe kick.
Send me the brand because I
No
wonder how
fuss.
much the brand changes because I don't think the composites that I can get or that I've seen, I don't think they'll do that. Like you got to
I
oscillate
think-
these bad boys.
Oh no, these are the breakaway.
I got to find those.
But do not get now. Lowe sells the black rubber ones. Don't get those. They don't break. They bend.
Yeah, that's the ones I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they
You have
don't.
to oscillate those bad boys.
Yeah, no, these are Nelsons. I think Nelson makes them. I'll look them up. I believe they're Nelsons. I'll send you a link. But yeah, that was a game changer. And by the way, I wanted to go back. That'll be my pick for this one. Is we have it on here like cheap.
Oh,
What
tool?
was it?
Just
cheap,
the tool?
Yeah, cheap tools that you have to do on cheap tools that make a huge difference.
Yep.
Those composite wedges, they really do. They pay for themselves. Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, you had some stuff that you wanted to talk about that's coming up. What you got coming up?
I got one major thing that's coming up. So my brother is in Argentina. Right now I think he's in the air somewhere, but he's on his way to Argentina.
What'd he do
to
wrong?
Shoot doves.
Oh.
Shoot doves. The same doves that we have here.
Uh-huh. Just way more
And-
of them.
Yep. So I talked to him the other night on the phone because sometimes with him and I fat thumbing a text message, it gets to the point where neither one of us know what we're talking about anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll have to send you some screenshots. That was funny. Anyway,
I didn't know he would leave the country. I'm really surprised by this.
oh, Costa Rica,
Really?
Argentina, Mexico, yes.
Just to hunt, though.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, he'll go to Costa Rica just to chill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he took his wife down there. And he said that he rented his golf cart, like the driver. It comes with a driver in Costa Rica that'll take you places.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, for me to take you there is 10 cents, and Chris goes, what about the whole day? He's like, you want to rent me for the whole day? He's like, yep, I want you with me the whole day. It was like $20 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
And so they stayed with Chris. Chris bought him lunch and, whatever. But anyway, he says, I'm going to Argentina. I said, all right. He said, well, there's a cow sale on Friday. And I'm not going to be able to go.
Speaking of, you never said what you guys bought at the last sale, whether that was what you thought it was or not, because I have no idea what you thought it was that you were going to have. You refused to participate in loading.
Okay. Well, we went to a registered Brangus cow sale.
Okay.
And I forget the name of a cut above. The name of the sale was a cut above. So everything there was in the top 25% of the Brangus breed.
Okay.
So what Chris is doing is he's getting blue ribbon, top tier Brangus cattle. Not commercial Brangus, not, whatever. I mean, we're talking registered, nice cows.
Do they taste different?
Probably so. Because
Okay.
we're getting down to where this cow is in the top 2% of the REA, which means ribeye area. And she's in the top 8% of intermuscular fat. She's in the top 5% of milk production. She's in the top 10% of weaning weight, top 8% of yearly weight, top 5% of birth weight. So basically, these cows are the cream of the crop on Brangus. They're the best of the breed. So we went to that cow sale, and he bought, I can't remember now, 6, I think. He bought 6 cows, and we brought them home. So that's what the trip was.
But you said if he buys what I think he's buying, I'm not helping to load it.
Right.
Is that what you thought he was going to buy?
Yep.
You thought he was
Yep.
going to buy cows?
Yep.
Okay.
I had just about figured out we were going to a cow sale.
Okay. Well, why
And I
would
said,
you
I'm
help
not-
him load a cow?
Because these are big cows.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not fixing to get out there and load a cow.
Okay. Okay.
Luckily, they load them for you. You just pull up this little chute. You give them your paper. They put your cows on trailer and you pull off.
I got
They
you.
handle all
right.
that stuff.
Because I was like,
So
what
he
kind
goes-
of animal is he refusing to put on a trailer? I was intrigued.
What they had a bull there that was less than a year old, and he was 1,600 pounds, I think, something like that.
Just go ride him in the trailer.
Yeah, I ain't messing with that joker. So anyway, he's in Argentina, and they're having another sale like that.
Okay.
And there's some really good cows there. So obviously, because Rachel, could listen to this podcast, we're not going to get into the specifics of it because it's not my business. We'll just say that it's not my business.
Gotcha.
So now Chris is sending me, when he's sitting at the airport, he sent me 5 or 6 cow numbers. He's like, number 21 is my top pick, number 73 is my second pick, and then I want 18, 17, and 62, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you get there, they give you a sheet. You get there the day before the sale, they give you a sheet. Then I have to correspond with Chris and say, okay, here's what lot it is. Whether some of them have calves, right? And so you got to figure out if they're selling together, selling separate. And then we're going to go back over the information, and Chris is going to say, okay, I want to bid up to this much on this one, that much on this one, and this much, and that much. And this ain't like a little bit of money we're talking.
This ain't like buying chickens at the auction?
This ain't like buying chickens. So he's in Argentina, and I decided to take Tammy, because you have to have somebody with you to write down, hey, lot 18's coming up, buddy. This is us. Okay. You got to be bidding on this one, So anyway, we're doing that. I feel...
When is this?
Friday.
Okay.
And it is in Bluntsville, Alabama, which is about 30 minutes east of Cullman.
Okay.
So we're going to be way up there, North Alabama.
Not quite far enough north, but...
Not quite far enough. So I told Tammy, I said, don't make plans for Thursday and Friday. And then finally told her what we were doing. She was super excited. Girl loves a cow sale.
Really?
So, yeah. But it's a lot on my plate, man. Like, I really don't want to...
So you're going to leave the kids
really
at home?
Don't want to buy the wrong...
You're going to leave the kids at home? A little date night while you're out? You're going to make it a little romantic getaway?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's more romantic than a cow sale, man?
Well, I mean, hey, I made a trailer purchase romantic. Well, I mean, we did a little date night while we were going to get the trailer.
You got to do what you got to do, man. Kids, I know one thing. Kids won't be there. They will not be there.
Go get you a good dinner and, make Chris pay for it since you're doing him a favor.
Yeah. Yeah, he offered to buy a room, but I said, no, why don't you let us pick the room? Because last time he had me on a pull-out couch, and I still hadn't, my neck still hadn't recovered from that all the way. I was like, we'll get the room, man. Don't worry about it. So they're going to, of course, he now, from the first sale, has become best friends with the guy that puts this sale on.
Oh.
So he's calling him going, hey, I'm in Argentina. I'm going to send my brother up there. He's going to register. He's going to have the money. But can you hold him till Monday, and I can come and get him?
Oh.
He's like, yeah, no problem. We'll hold him for you. So he's kind of working. He's talking to the guy that runs the sale. So everybody knows I'm going to be there bidding on
his behalf
on some cows. So, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But I really don't want to screw it up. I'm a nervous wreck. Because like I said, these ain't $20 cows, man. Like you could make some money disappear real quick.
Yeah. Well, as long as you don't buy the wrong cow, that would probably be the worst thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather not. Overspending on the right cow would probably be worse than buying the wrong cow. I think.
He told me what he wanted to spend total, and I was like, "Ugh, God Almighty, man!" I told Tammy, I said, "We can't get pulled over. Do not do anything to get pulled over on the way, because we're going to look like drug dealers." But yeah, that's going to be. It's going to be. I have to let you know on the next week how that turned out
for sure. What else you got coming up?
We got a couple of tiny jobs that we built. I got the job for the church that we built.
Yeah.
We got to wait on the top to come in. I got that weird countertop that I got to make here in the shop. Should be doing that this week. And then Trey's mama has 3 cabinets going in her living room. So Trey's going to be painting those tomorrow and getting those finished up, painting the doors, and they'll be ready to go. So we'll probably install those, I don't know, maybe Wednesday. We'll go put those in. The people at the church, I don't know, just depending on whenever the top comes in.
Yeah.
We'll go put that in. Not making any money off either one of those jobs, so that's fun.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, I love those.
That's a good business decision there, Mitch.
Well, sometimes.
Well, the church,
sometimes you got to make those
it's my church.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my church. So I was like, I'll build y'all a vanity. You're not talking thousands of dollars or anything.
I mean, it could at least be a donation on your taxes, though.
That's what it is. So the pastor told us, he said, well, give us an invoice, anyway, and we'll treat it like it's a tithe, like it's basically like it's a donation to the church. And I said, okay, because if they paid me, I'd just turn around and give it right back to them anyway.
Right.
It's like I'm not.
Well, you could do like this guy that did at the school. He come in there and said, "Hey, I see you guys got some trees that need to be cut. I that's kind of what I do." He's like, "I'd be happy to cut them down for you guys, just free of charge." Oh, that'd be great. And he comes back the next day with like an invoice and wants to sign off as a donation. And the principal's like, "Man, I did good. I just saved us like $10,000." I was like, he did it for $10,000 to cut those trees?
Man.
I was like, no, you didn't save the school anything. He just saved himself on a giant donation. Like, he just jacked that donation. She's like, you don't think it really would have cost that much to cut those trees? I was like, no, not at all. Like, but I mean, whatever. That's between him and the IRS. I mean, he's the one that's got to justify that write-off, not you.
I'd be a nervous wreck if I tried stuff like that, man.
Hey.
Like little things, whatever, that's one thing. But, like this whole church thing. I mean, what am I going to do? Charge them and then just turn around and give the money right back to the church? And now the church has got more paperwork they have to do and whatever. Yeah. And it's like, it's just, at the end of the day, it's not worth it.
You only got to give them 10% of it back.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I'm just saying. I don't know why the government wants more than God, but
they want a lot more than what they're getting.
We won't go down that road.
Hello, debt ceiling. Hello.
No, goodbye.
Put another trillion on us there, governor.
Goodbye, debt ceiling.
What a bunch of daggone. Anyway, but Trey's parents, at least they are paying for their materials.
Yeah.
I told them, I said, we'll build it. I won't charge anything to build it. But, y'all have to buy your materials.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair.
Oh, well, that's more than fair.
I don't owe them anything,
Yeah. I mean, I would at least, like, half shop labor,
Well, Trey...
But Trey's not clocking in for it?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those deals. Yeah. Trey's kind of dealing with that. We got something worked out on that. So
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I don't have a clue what I've got going on this week. I've got about 5-6 text messages that I've got to respond to where everything apparently has fallen apart for the week. So I'm not sure. I do know a referral that I got this morning on Facebook. I got that one is good to go. So that's nice. And it's in the subdivision right behind me. So that's even better. It's not far away.
That would be nice.
But as far as this actual week, boy, it's been unhinged.
Speaking of referrals, I've got 2 this week.
Really?
One guy called me and said, hey, somebody recommended you. And here's what I got going on. Can you shoot me like your basic pricing and whatever? I said, yep, and I've done that. And then somebody else called and said that they may want just some doors or something. And I said, yep, we can probably do that. And then I got an old, no, she's not old, but she's been my friend for a long time. She hit me up, wants a vanity. So it's nice. I got two referrals in the same week.
Friend in common or no?
I don't think you know her.
Okay.
You probably know her sister.
Okay.
Her sister was in my class and went to school with us.
Okay.
But this is her older sister. Anyway, so it was nice to get a couple of referrals. Say, hey, somebody told me about you and said you would.
I love a referral. It makes me feel so good. I mean, it does.
It does.
Even if I can't get it to pan out, I love a referral.
Yeah.
There's nothing but I think those are the best because you know that somebody really appreciated and liked your work and not only just your work, but your entire way of doing business, And
the thing is, the lady that referred him to me, I've never done any work for her.
Oh.
She stopped by the shop like I know her.
Yeah.
But she was like, through our conversations and she's seen my work. Oh, the other one was a lady at the ball field told my wife that she's going to be doing some work in her house, wants me to do the cabinetry. She said, I've been saving up for the cabinetry because I want Mitch to do it.
Oh.
And I didn't know how to take that, but come to find out her husband didn't want her spending any money, like out of their joint fund.
Oh.
So she's been saving money up on the side.
So she's been getting $20 cash back every time she goes to the grocery store.
Bingo. But she said that she now cleans houses around there,
Oh, okay.
around here. And she said, I've been in several houses that Mitch has done the cabinetry in. And she was just complimenting on my work and the finish. She said, man, there'll be stuff stuck on the cabinet, and I'll take whatever cleaner I have, and it comes right off. I don't know what kind of finish he uses, but man, it's great, And so, it's good to hear that kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure.
We need that.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah. Other than that, I don't have anything.
I can tell you this. So I've made a firm decision in the direction that I'm heading for the next 5-year plan.
I've got that written down, business plan with a question mark, because I wanted you to.
So it's pretty simple, really. So I like building cabinets. I got no problem building cabinets. The creative side of me doesn't want to build cabinets forever.
Mm-hmm.
So the 5-year plan is within 5 years, at some point in time, is to have somebody, is to, one, move out to a self-owned shop, but and then have somebody in-house building cabinets, and so I can focus on furniture. That's where my creative passion, I think, leads me to.
Yeah.
But I think in the next 6 months, I am going to take a strong effort to gearing and equipment, and really focusing on basically Monday through Friday cabinetry and the built-ins and what we've got going now. Saturdays and Sundays and any other off time that I can dedicate to it, moving to building my name in the furniture game.
Yeah.
And then that way I can roll an established name on that side. And keep the cabinet side. I mean, I'm good with that. And like I said, I like building cabinets. I don't have a problem with them. But just I creatively don't want to do that for forever. But I think it's a good mainstay. I think it's a good mainstay, and in the niche that I'm in. Like, I don't really necessarily see myself moving to full builds or, new construction or anything. But so, yeah, really making, over the next 6 months, making a really strong effort to, make big joiner purchases, looking at finding some 20-inch planers, at a minimum, maybe something even bigger. Would love to find a drum sander, a wide belt sander. I just don't think I'm going to find a wide belt sander until I get to 3-phase.
Yeah.
Without doing the converter and all that mess. And then that's a whole nother question, is when do the shop and build, is figuring out what the heck does it take to get 3-phase in there, and how much of a problem is that, and all that good stuff, because I honestly don't know. But I just told Kim
it's not bad.
Yeah.
Don't get hung up on a 3-phase. It's not bad at all.
But it just seems like your bigger equipment, that's what it needs.
Yep.
I mean, just to run bigger, better equipment, and actually cheaper in a lot of regards,
And professional. I think, bigger and better, but I think more on the line, and you'll see this when we go to IWF next year.
Yeah.
This industrial forever equipment, it's all 3-phase, man.
Yeah.
All of it. So, you can make the investment. Like I said, you can get single phase pretty much anything, but it's not going to last as long.
Right.
And the real equipment, the real industrial stuff, is going to be your 3-phase, type equipment. And then you just have so many more options.
Yeah.
To do things. But I wish, like, if tomorrow, if I could not do cabinetry and have an established furniture business, I'd jump in.
Yeah.
100% I'd jump in. Now, your market, I think you'll be able to do okay.
Yeah, there's enough. My thinking is there are enough, like, established boutiques that, like, that's kind of their thing. Like, you as a vendor bring your stuff into their boutique,
mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of those that don't really survive, but there's several good ones in the neighborhood around us that are established. I'm talking about, like, have been in business for 10 plus years, that you could easily, so that's what I'm focusing on. So the weekend work would be to drop that I'm not going to do well. I mean, I would do commission pieces if I could get somebody, somebody came along with a commission piece, but just to
Oh,
do
yeah.
kind of semi-generic custom works, that not super custom because I'm not building them for, somebody that they're commissioned for, but then drop those at a
Mm-hmm.
boutique and then use that money to roll. Like that's the roll slash, I don't want to use play money but you see what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
that's the roll up money. That's the set aside for the land and for the shop. Like really focus on that, letting that fund that piece almost as its own separate business. I may even do a separate sole proprietorship for that business just from a filing standpoint.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It may not be a bad thing, especially while you're getting going.
yeah, that way all
Mm-hmm.
the losses really get absorbed.
Yeah.
But I told Kim because I think realistically my goal is for a retirement plan is I would like to see it phase to the point where I have some employees in a shop that I own that are doing work and they're producing income for me that I'm just kind of semi managing. Then kind of the next phase of retirement is that I've got people in management in place that I'm just kind of the money man, and then actually have a tangible item at some point in time that's a tangible business that I can sell, a building and a book of business to
Mm-hmm.
release. I think that's where the phase has got to be to kind of have, not just to
Yeah.
have this building with all these tools that I could sell all the tools, at a going out of rate sale. I want a book of business to sell and a name,
Right.
you know.
I think you could.
Yeah. And so I mean that's the goal. I mean, and I would like to see, I would like to see in the next 10 years that I can get it to the point where she doesn't have to stay at school anymore and she can take on more of an admin role in the businesses for me,
Yeah.
because if I can get it to grow, I can match her retirement
Yeah.
pretty easily.
And if you, I'm just thinking out loud, I'm just kind of shooting from the hip, but it seems like if you do establish yourself in a couple of boutiques, people are like, man, every time I come in here looking for a lamp or something, I keep seeing this Travis guy stuff,
Yeah.
I wonder if he could build us a dining room table that's a little bit different than this.
Yeah.
And there's your commission work, right?
Right.
And then, end tables or chairs or, whatever beds, man.
Beds are big money. I watched Andy
Beds
Rawls
are big money.
$8,600 bed.
Who's that?
Andy Rawls.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean he's worth every penny of it. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
I can't build an $8,600 bed. Let's don't kid ourselves. On the skill level that man has versus what I have. But I mean, and he's like, let's do the math on this. It's like 69 cents a night, and your children are going to walk away with this bed at some point in time. It's like
That's it. I'm talking heirloom pieces, man.
Yes.
Don't come in here and want me to build you a farm table out of 2x4. Not finna do that.
Nope.
Not going to do that.
Nope. If your materials list starts with me going to Lowe's or Home Depot, I'm out.
I'm out. I'm not. Listen, I appreciate you. Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
We're in two different ballparks.
I'm not
bud.
your guy. I'm just not your
Right.
guy.
And if you can find a supplier or at least a sawyer
Yeah.
that can provide some of that wood, then, I think that's going to be key.
Yeah.
That's going to be key is finding you a sawyer,
Then-
because we're not talking going to Woodcraft and buying
Correct.
lumber.
Right.
I mean, you may have to, at some point, but a sawyer up there, man, if you're talking oak and, whatever else grows up there where you're at. But, yeah, because, man, I made a pecan table one time, dude, and I was just like, I was so proud of it.
Yeah.
It was just so different,
Yeah.
and it was custom, and, they paid a lot of money for that tabletop. And you learn so much more, man. And you're like, listen, I'm getting this much money. I'm getting $9,000 for this bed. Quick as I get done with it, I'm going to get done with it, but I don't have to be there tomorrow and deliver it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, I got a friend of mine up here. He's fixing to start. He's got a sawmill. He's fixing to start selling timber frame home packages. He's going to cut all the lumber and do the joinery. He's got his own truck. He's going to pull up to your house or your pad, drop your house off, and you pay him, and then he goes.
Huh.
You know, there's just so many different options out there,
Yeah.
man. And yeah, I don't blame you at all, dude. I'm excited. That excites me to see kind of what you're going to be able to do, because you're talking different joinery, man, and you got plenty of time to make a dovetail drawer.
Right.
You know, and you can really grain match, and you can find these beautiful pieces of wood that would be wasted on a cabinet frame.
Right.
You know, but now it's the centerpiece of a bed.
Yeah.
You know,
No epoxy.
no river
I
tables.
will not be making any epoxy river tables.
Thank you.
No.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I was like, I hope that's not the kind of furniture he's got in mind.
No.
But you know, Mark, the Wood Whisperer, that's what he does for money.
Yeah.
He makes furniture. He makes furniture pieces.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can kind of get maybe like a design, or you know, like Sam Maloof, you know, the Maloof rocker.
Style. Yeah.
Yeah. The Maloof rocker dude, presidents would call Sam Maloof and say, I want one of you to build me a rocker. It's going in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it. You can do that kind of thing. Come up with your and Wood Whisperers kind of got like a little Asian kind of, you know, kind of style. Andy Rawls has just big, bulky, just beefy
Mission
style, which
style
is what
almost.
I like. Yeah, mission style. What is that? Green and green is huge, man. If you get into green and green style furniture, then you're talking is even Adirondack chairs or swings or little end tables, little pieces like that. Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
It's gonna be a slow process. I mean, I don't expect anything, you know, like any great news to report next week or anything. But you know, but I think really that's going to be the focus. I don't know how long it'll take it to to launch, but really, like I said, really take those earnings, work, really focus on that over 6 months. Because I mean, I got some equipment that there's just until I get that, I can't process lumber. You know, I mean, I can't run everything through the DeWalt. I mean, that's just not. I mean, it's just not big enough to plane stuff through. You know,
and you need a joiner.
Yeah, I got to get an 8-inch, at least an 8-inch. I want an 8-inch parallelogram. That's what I'm looking for. Long bed. I want a long bed, so I'm not wrestling.
I've got an 8-inch long bed, 10 feet outside that door right there, that I hadn't turned on and used in 3 years.
Yeah. Well, if you want me to come pick it up, let me know.
And I sold my planer a couple of weeks ago, my 20-inch planer.
I didn't even talk to you about how upset I am that you did that, but that's all right.
I didn't know, man. I had no idea.
I know.
I had no idea.
No, so that deal did go through, huh?
Yep. Yep. It went on through.
But yeah, no, but that's. I mean, I just kind of I feel like I have to sit down and like really make a conscious effort as to where we're going with this thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think I really just think that's the best and the smartest route to slow roll and build a name and then try to self-fund it. Like, I don't want to do this. I did the whole thing of starting a business from my own funds, and that hurts, as you know. I mean, it's tough, you know. I mean, we're not much above eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every night, but I'm at least getting jelly. I mean, there for a while we were just getting peanut butter.
Yeah.
Sometimes we had bread to put it on, you know. I mean, it's hard, and you know, you got sacrifices, and you know, when you have kids, and you know, you got tuitions, you know, to pay. I mean, that thing comes around, you know, every month. You know, they want that money, and you know, trying to keep a kid from graduating with any debt is,
yeah.
I mean, like I tell her all the time, like I just want you to say, you know, thanks for not giving me any college debt. Like that's, you know, that's the goal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, trying to get her out of there, and so, you know, not wanting to do all that business startup again. I think, you know, with this established business, let it roll, and then kind of, you know, do that slow work. And I mean, yeah, it's going to take time. Time is a sacrifice, but
well, keep in mind, I had a 4-year plan. I was planning on working, and then
you said it. You said beep. That's the first time you said it.
Oh shoot! Yeah, never mind. Cat's out of the bag.
It only took 19 episodes. Only took 19
but, you know,
episodes.
I was there, you know, and I said I'll stay there 4 years.
Yeah.
and then I'll look at my finances
Right.
and see if maybe I can make it work.
Yeah.
You know, and that lasted 4 months, and I was like, I got to go, cuz. I'm out.
Yeah.
I got to go. Y'all holding me up.
Yeah.
You know, so you just never know. But it's still good to have, you know, a 5-year, 4-year, 5-year plan and work at it and slowly work at it. And because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You know, you got to pay bills. Alabama Power, don't care if I want to go on a new venture.
Yeah. Every month they show up.
Yep. So yeah.
Well, I watched this guy. I was watching this guy on YouTube. I can't remember what it is, but he's like, you know, $1 million business or whatever. And who knows? You know, it's like I said, my wife, who knows? Who knows if that's an actual achievement, right? That he actually did what he says he did. But he made a comment that really stuck with me, and I hope I don't mess it up now that I'm trying to kind of requote it. But it was basically, you know, that more times in life we fall short of what our goals are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we put goals that are probably pretty realistic, but even still we're not always able to achieve those goals. He's like, put out some unrealistic goals. You know, he's like, he's like, throw out $1 million ideas. He's like, 'cause if you throw out $100,000 ideas, you know, and you land at 90,000, you're okay. He's like, but if you throw out $1 million idea and you're chasing that $1 million idea and you come in at $900,000, you're still okay. Like,
Yep.
you know, you still did good. You're still happy. He's like, that doesn't mean you don't try to get that extra $100,000, but he's like, but you can't live life on these smaller goals. He said, because we only achieve a portion of those so many times anyway, you know? And I was like, man, you got to be careful with that. Like, you can live with your head, and I get what he's saying, but the wrong person can put their head up in the stars with that comment and just, well, you can dream all you want to, but there's some things that go with that dreaming that you got to do to make a reality. But yeah, I mean, throw out a real, you know, throw out a big dream, you know, and see, you know, what's the retirement, you know, what's the, you know, I got a buddy of mine that I was in the military with who's about to make E9, which is the highest rank that an enlisted person can make in the military, and he's 40. Like, he has just killed it. I mean, usually, but he's hit that E9 at, you know, 40. And typically, you know, you're at 46, 47, you know, when you hit that. You know, I'm like, man, it's just awesome. You know, I mean, he has just chased it and just been a superb Marine and done all kinds of crazy things. And, you know, just super proud of him. I'm actually, this will air after that. We're actually going to Virginia to surprise him. I hadn't seen him in about 20 years. But going to Virginia to surprise him and be at the ceremony, so we're pretty stoked about it. He was at the hospital with us when Taylor was born.
Okay, yeah. We're talking good buddy
forever. Yeah. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see him. Like, I'm thinking about like having Taylor walk up to him with a picture like of him holding her at the hospital and be like, Mr. Lewis, do you recognize this person? Like, just to see, you know, just to see his face. You know, I got to figure out some way to mess with him. I'm not just, you know, but yeah, but you know, I think that's kind of my dream. So I kind of wanted to share that with the group, because I'm hoping there's somebody out there that's, you know, I mean, I think that's been our theme, you know, is to push and to try to find a new goal and find a new aspiration, you know, and whether it's just a new business or it's the next, you know, where are you going to take your business? What's the next step you're going to do? Is it moving from hiring, you know, no employees to hiring that first employee, to moving to 3 employees? You know, you got to look at these steps, and you got to look at what is the next step in the process to make things better. You know, I mean, I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's like, when are you going to hire a guy? And I was like, I can't afford to hire a guy yet. He's like, you'd probably be surprised what you could make if you would just hire a guy. And I'm like, ooh, I want that to be accurate, but it terrifies me. Don't get me wrong.
A lot of moving parts, dude.
It is, but there's some truth in it.
Yeah.
There is some truth in it. You know, I could not have to do measuring and consults at night because I got somebody at the shop doing production. You know, little things like that. But I'm close. I'm close to being there. Like there's some things like I mean I got to move first.
I want you to hire
you know?
somebody so bad, dude. I
Well,
really want you to hire somebody.
I gotta have a place for an employee to take a whiz. You know, I mean I can't.
Yeah.
I need plumbing. You know.
Well, the biggest thing is if you have the work, if you have the work coming in, absolutely you can do it. You can do it, but you cannot do it with the same amount of productivity that you have now. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up is they hire somebody and they stay stagnant.
Right.
You know, luckily we can get jobs out a little faster. If we get in a slump, there's always like this other bucket of 30 people that I said, yeah, maybe, and I can pluck somebody out of, you know, which is a good problem to have. Let's be honest.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of moving parts, you know, and it's just, we'll talk about that on another episode maybe, but yeah, dude, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. I am in Grady with a cabinet shop.
Yeah.
And one year I'm going to hit $500,000 in sales pretty soon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's unbelievable. I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. It's doable. I mean, and it's doable for anybody out there, you know, because, you know, I catch myself, I don't know if you do this or not, but I will catch myself like at the supply, you know, picking up materials or, you know, and I'll see these guys walk in and I go, how good is your stuff?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And then I go, what do I really care? There's plenty of business out there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to like go toe to toe against their stuff. And then I remind myself, there's a ton of business out there. Like, why? I don't care. I don't care what your pity any stuff is. I'm going to make my stuff as good as I possibly can. There's somebody better than me. I don't mean that there's not somebody better than me. I'm going to make mine as good as I can, and I'm going to always seek improvement on what I do make to make it better.
Yep.
But the point is that there is always business. There's business out there. And if you are the good person, if you are the good producer of it, you'll get the business.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter how many other guys are out there trying to do it. If you're the better person, you've got the better product, you'll get the business.
Hello.
That's called capitalism.
Yep. And that's why I'm in business. That's how I got my two builders is I got a job and they looked at it and said, he's better than what we have.
Yeah.
You know, and so far nobody, I guess that they like more than me or whatever has come along. Yeah. But it's, you know, you just, I don't know, man, you just have an amazing opportunity. And I think I'm just going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that just my opinion of why you're kind of looking down this road is you're at the point now where these little built-ins and the stuff that you're doing, you're just kind of like, it's not fulfilling something way deep down inside of you.
It fulfills my need to look back and see a physical, tangible product of what I've done, what my time, energy, and sweat has produced.
Yep.
I need a tangible item. I have that personality, but it's not hitting the creativity side 100%.
That's right.
The only reason it is because I get to do the design and the layout and and like that part of the customer interaction. That little bit of it is feeding that part of the ego that I need. But I guess it is my ego. I guess it's probably that I need even the ego needs the creativity because I want to be able to say, yeah, that came out of my head. Yeah. Like that's what I wanted to do.
And a certain amount of ego is necessary if you're going to do this thing. Everybody who builds or makes or does something for their own, plumbers, concrete guys, whatever, they have pride in their work. You know, they have a little ego and they're like, hey, I got to keep my own ego up.
Oh yeah, if an electrician can take a picture of the inside of a junction box with the wires all nice, neat, and labeled, and the little sleeves left over, and that's their ego. That's pride in your work.
Yep.
I mean, every trade can find that. It's not a hard thing to do, but yeah. So I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but go out there, look at that next step. I think that's just what we're all about, and wherever you're at, even if it's not leaving, what's your next step at where you're at? How do you get the next promotion? How do you get the next jump in money? Maybe a lateral move, whatever it is that even if it's just something that just feeds your soul a little bit better. Maybe it's not a promotion. Maybe it's you're in this department. You would really like to be in this department because that's where you really feel like you would feel the passion to be. Figure out how to do it. I mean, just it's too short. It's just life is just too short to walk through it miserable. And I don't want to work miserable.
Right.
I just
don't waste your life like that, man. I'm gonna read a poem that Paul Bear Bryant kept in his pocket. You ever read that one?
All
right. Well, on the next podcast, I'll
bring it out.
We'll start off with it.
All right.
It's deep. It's deep. But I got a text saying that my wife's throwing me something together, and she said, it is 10 o'clock, and you got to go to work tomorrow.
It is.
So that's what she told me. Yep.
So we got to get out of here. All right.
I gotta go. I didn't say anything about one day Trey didn't set his alarm clock and came in 2 hours late. I said I didn't even say anything about that.
Didn't mention being 2 hours late.
Didn't even bring it up. It's so funny, man, because listen, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care.
Unless you have somewhere to be.
Yeah.
Don't do that on install day.
It's like you overslept. You didn't set your alarm. Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't. Sue me.
Once in 6 months?
Exactly. The man has not taken a day off.
Yeah.
He has not asked for a vacation day. He has not asked for a sick day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who cares? Who freaking cares? Is it really worth,
But is it really that hard to set an alarm clock?
It's not. Not hard. Not hard. Somehow or another, I managed to make it here every morning at 7 o'clock, 7:05 sometimes, or whatever, but I get up. But yeah, and of course I do have to rib him about it and all that stuff. Yeah. But it's so funny, man. Because I don't. Y'all can say what you want to about me. Who ain't no boss? Who ain't no? No, I'm not a boss. I'm 100% not a boss.
Yeah.
I want you to do a good job when you come in.
Well, I guess in honor of that, we got to make this week's code word alarm clock.
Alarm clock. He's going to think the whole episode is going to be about that.
All right.
Well, you guys have a good week. Thanks for tuning in again. And don't forget, man, we need suggestions. I mean, I know some of you guys listening are dying to ask us something. Got to be dying to ask us something. So
some of them won't even answer.
Yep. Email, send us a message, look us up on social media, share the podcast, look us up, send us a message. Hey, how big is your shop? Right? How many light bulbs do you have?
Didn't know where you were going with that.
I mean, what's your typical weather? What kind of paint do you spray? Anything you want to know, we're open books. So just let us know.
Where do you get those cool shirts from, Travis? I just have them made.
I would have asked you where you got it from, but I'm afraid you can't tell me. You just can't.
I just can't.
You just can't tell me.
It's good to have a friend with a Cricut machine. That's all I can tell you. Because when any little stupid thing I think of that I want to say to people, I just put on a shirt. I had one. I've got one that says 2020. And underneath it says, I just cannot recommend, and it has stars, and they're just all not filled in.
Yeah.
No stars in it.
0 out of 10, do not recommend.
Wear that to an airport in 2021. I got more comments on that one.
Trey went to the porta potty the other day on the job site, and he comes back in. It was hot. Dude, I'm telling you, it was 95. He comes back in, and I said, well, how was it? And he goes, man, 2 out of 10. I do not recommend. I was like, well, okay, well, how's the review going to go? And he goes, it was clean. It was clean. That's good. It was in pretty good location. So that's good.
Air conditioner broke.
Yeah, it had everything in there I needed to perform my job. So that's good. He said, but it's sitting on the hill at about a 20-degree angle. He said, do not recommend that one. Do not.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right. I got to go, buddy.
Yeah, get out of here. Well, have a good week, man. I can't wait to see what's happened. We'll be in touch. And thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks for being in and a part of it. Sorry about the technical glitch in the middle of this thing. Tommy sorted out for us so we don't look like idiots. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job, kid. We'll keep you another week.
Keep it up.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
We'll see you, man.
Bye.